Hello AJ, how are you doing, mate?
Franklin, it's all been kicking off in the world of football, hasn't it? You've got you've got Eniola Aluko screaming out of one ear for social issues. You've got Jim Radcliffe screaming out of the ear for other social issues, and here we are just trying to figure out whether Skelmersdale United can make it next season.
I know, yeah. I was actually watching the interview with Sam and Jordan. I don't know whether you watched it yourself.
I did, yeah.
Did you watch all of it?
I did.
What do you make of it? Seriously.
It's quite rare that I agree with Simon Jordan, to be honest. I think he's quite a polarising character in terms of some of his views. However, I think he's got this one absolutely spot on. I don't find Eniola Aluko a particularly interesting pundit. I don't feel like I learn a lot off her when I've watched her. I think sometimes she can be quite non-engaging. She doesn't really sort of grab me attention in the same way that a Roy Keane or a Gary Neville or a Micah Richards does.
So she lacks personality.
She does.
To a large degree.
I say so.
But does that make it a bad pundit?
Yes, it does.
Why? Because it's appearances. It's about.
It's about.
I mean, we've got to be very careful here because we're talking about looks now, and obviously.
Oh no, it hasn't.
The obvious thing from her perspective is that she's black.
Yeah.
And she feels as though she's being discriminated against because of her colour.
Well, Ian Wright, Jermaine Genus, Micah Richards, all three are people of colour who are exceptional at what they do. Alex Scott, as a female, pundit in the women's game is an excellent pundit. I don't think it has anything to do with how she looks. I think it's how she puts herself across and what you learn from her as a pundit. Because a pundit is there to analyse the game and relay that analysis of the game to the viewer. And she's
made a few mistakes, hasn't she?
She's made a few mistakes.
We've heard her make bloopers, but then
we have. But
have we ever sort of gone sort of deep in on zoned in on a male pundit? To such a point as we have with her because we don't like what she's saying. Now, I'll give you an example of something. When Gary Neville started out, he was rubbish.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think...
when I say rubbish, he wasn't great.
He didn't exactly hit the ground
He made a lot
running.
of mistakes, but he learned from those mistakes.
So.
Arguably, you could turn around and say, for 11 years, I think she had... a contract with was it with ITV?
It was with ITV, yeah.
So for 11 years she's been fairly successful. In the last year she's been taken down. So what was she doing right? I mean, she said herself that she was the worst critic. She was asking people, am I doing anything wrong?
Yeah.
She was inviting critique.
That's good.
Which is great. And, but then maybe to look at it a different way, maybe she felt as though she wasn't as good as or as confident as she wanted to be.
Well, she may have been. I think that there are aspects to a game that were, good. I think there are certain elements of her analysis of how it was to be an ever present in that England team that actually wasn't nearly as successful as what it should have been. Under Hope Powell. During the mid 2000s, she was an ever present in that team alongside people like Sue Smith, Rachel Yankee, Jill Scott was in there for a little bit as well. Sort of your stalwarts of their team, and she was in there with 103 caps. And I think you can see her perspective on how the ladies' game at the international level has changed from her day. But I think her engagement in the club perspective of it is very different, and I can understand and learn from her from the women's game a lot more than I do from her perspective on the men's game. And I think that's because she has the personal experience of what it was like in the women's game, whereas obviously she doesn't in the men's game. Now, that doesn't necessarily make you a bad pundit, because Ian Wright is able to articulate really well on the women's game and has done for as long as he's been a pundit in the ladies' game. But she doesn't do that.
I think when you're better qualified, and you would be as a male player that's played for England and played at the highest level for a long, long time, then your perspective on football is always going to be greater over the female game as well.
I think it gives you a natural advantage. I certainly wouldn't think...
I think it does give you the natural advantage.
But it doesn't mean that female pundits in the men's game are bad.
No,
not
so
automatically.
okay, it raises another question, which she mentioned herself, was that should female pundits be brought front and centre stage in the ladies' game, and the men take a back seat, still involved in it? I agree with her. I think even Simon Jordan agrees.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, but I think there are better pundits than her to do that. I think Jill Scott is excellent. You know, she's
That's
on
not the argument any longer, is it? The argument is, should the likes of Ian Wright, he's done a lot for the ladies' game, but should he take a step back? Should fundamentally, front of stage, should it be the female pundits? And I'm not talking about hair, but in general.
Not necessarily, because the female game still has a long way to go. Sorry.
The crunch is...
You know what it is.
What are they? Cherries, chocolate, orange?
No, dairy milk, buttons, orange flavour.
Oh, orange flavoured. So that's the noise anyway.
Yeah.
But the bigger noise we were talking about with NI is... So you don't think that, like I've just said there, that they should be brought more centre stage?
Yes and no. I think, yes, they should be brought centre stage. I think, however, Ian Wright, as a standalone pundit, has probably earned the right to continue his presence within the women's game because of how heavily he's advocated for that over the past 2 or 3 decades.
But does he need to be?
Of course he needs to be.
No, does he need to be? He's done his job.
No, I think
he's built the profile up of the women's football.
He has.
But does he have to be centre stage? I don't think he does.
I think he could... Centre stage, no, but I think he still deserves to be as much of a present on the punditry side of it as what he has been. I don't think he deserves to lose that because he's still a jobbing pundit at the end of the day.
But what was interesting was Jordan, Simon Jordan's opinion of Wrighty himself. Almost that he was a brand.
Ian Wright's a brand in his own right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Ian... I don't know if he's a brand. I just think when he lends his name to something, it carries an awful lot because you know from Ian Wright's own personality that he will fully get behind causes that he believes in. It's usually causes that need a voice.
So what did she say wrong to him that made him back off from her?
I think that what she said wrong was when she said that he should have to step aside for pundits like her. No, you've got to be better than Ian Wright in order to usurp him on the punditry gig. She isn't. Let's
imagine Ian Wright actually agrees with her. Personally, he's not going to admit it, is he? He's not, because
I don't think so.
The force of opinion was against her.
Yeah, it was.
So even if he agrees with her, he's going to back off, and that's what he's done. I feel a little bit more sorry for her now than I first did.
I don't. I think her...
I think she's gone over the top with some of her opinions. I think she's gone too far with some of her opinions. But I think fundamentally now, I think there's been a pile on because she's a woman, not necessarily because she's black. I don't believe that's the reason why people dislike her. I think it's probably because she's a woman and the lack of personality.
I think the lack of personality is definitely one thing.
But is that a good enough a reason for people to pile on?
I think they've piled on her because of how much she's kind of brought that attention on herself by what she said.
She did apologise though, didn't she?
Yeah, but Ian Wright didn't accept it.
But she apologised. She didn't apologise for saying it. She apologised for including his name in it. Again,
because this is the second time she's had a pop at him over punditry. When he's done nothing wrong. He's had no reason at all to be targeted in this manner, and it's come back to bite her because, you know, she may have wanted a punditry gig, and she's been asked to... Well, she's been told that she's no longer part of the punditry gig on ITV, and instead they're going to have Nedum Onua in there, the former Manchester City player. And that may be down to his ability to actually be a pundit and articulate himself well. I think where differences start to, diverge a little bit is that people are making personal cracks at her, when in fact they should just kind of focus on the very easy argument that actually she's not an engaging pundit, and you don't tend to learn a lot from her in comparison to other people, other pundits.
What I'm surprised with is, because I haven't seen the reverse of it, but nobody's really asked the question, what do they think about Ian Wright as a pundit? Now, as a personality, I quite like him. I listen to Stick to Football with Gary Neville and Roy Keane and Jamie Carragher. I personally don't think Ian Wright is a great pundit.
Do you not?
No, I don't. I think there's better pundits out there. I really, really do.
I think there's always some better pundits out there. I think he's in the top 5. Personally, I think he's in the top 5 of the pundits that we've got in the game at the minute. Yeah, I like him.
I'd like to see a poll on what people actually think of him as a pundit. I think we've become accustomed to him now in terms of a personality. Don't forget, it's not so long ago when he was hosting game shows, wasn't he? I think he became a little bit of a figure of fun, and lost his sort of what's the word for it? His ability to stand up as a serious pundit.
Well, that was quite a while ago, wasn't it? Because Ian Wright's been on the punditry scene now for years. Years. I mean, he was a staple on Match of the Day alongside Lineker and Shearer. And that's. I think as a pundit, like I say, I think he's really good. And I think he's been given that opportunity to kind of come back into the fold as a pundit, and I think he's grabbed the opportunity with both hands.
Don't get me wrong. I think he's good.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's great.
That's sort of a division of opinion, isn't it?
There are people who are thinking... I think based on that, though, we're talking about the difference between good and not so good.
Oh, yeah.
Which Enai, is that how you pronounce her name? Is it
Enai?
Has zero personality.
Yeah.
So I think if you take away the personality away from it, what is Ian Wright as a pundit?
Just articulate.
Is he?
I think so. But I think that's such a division of opinion, because there are so many people who have preferred pundits. There are people who think Gary Neville is probably the most articulate pundit on the scene, and there are other people who think he's absolutely god-awful and is an echo chamber for Man United. Yeah. There are people who say the same about Jamie Carragher and Thierry Henry and Alan Shearer. It all depends on what your particular brand of vodka is in that regard. Everyone's going to have a different favourite, in the same way that everyone has a favourite actor or a favourite car, something like that. It's just going to be a split opinion. But the fact is that, universally speaking...
Yeah, listen, I agree with everything else. In terms of commercialisation, you want the best for the brand.
Yeah.
So in terms of the best female pundits now, I don't know, I can't reel them off as probably as best as you can, but I do like some of the presenters. I like Kelly Cates. I think she's good. I think she's great. I think Gabby Yoreth. Gabby, it's not Yoreth anymore, is it?
Gabby Logan.
Logan, that's it. So.
Gabby Logan's been on the scene since I was a child. I mean, she's been on the football and rugby scene.
This is different. They're presenters. They're not pundits, are they? No. And they're really, really good.
I think Sue Smith's a great pundit on the God, what's it called now? Final Score on BBC One. Sue Smith's a really good pundit on that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you've got to have the best for the brand. I can understand that, but I just feel as though there's been a bit of an unfortunate aftermath to this, and I think the pile-on is getting more sort of personal.
Yes,
it happened with Joey Barton and what he said about her, and made her life a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, it did.
And to be fair, when you're that kind of suffering that kind of pylon, you become more disillusioned, more outspoken. I think she's probably end up in a worse situation now because of the pylon.
Well, I believe she's quit punditry altogether as a result of it.
I think she's quit herself because she probably knows that the opportunity for her to get a gig again. All I would say is that she came over really, really well in that interview with Simon Jordan. She didn't lose her temper.
No.
She bided the time. She didn't interject. She listened to everything that he said, and she didn't necessarily disagree with him. I think she was quite understanding of his opinion. And I think she presented herself very well, and I just wish people would sort of back off a little bit now and leave it alone.
Like I say, I think
she's a human being.
You can present yourself well, but not necessarily be the right person for the job. That's part and parcel.
I totally agree with you there, but I think, like I say, I think too much has been made.
Yeah, she's still a human being.
Simon Jordan said we shouldn't really be talking about this. We're given a platform to carry on.
Airspace, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? It's one of the big stories.
I'm afraid so, yeah.
And if she carries on doing podcasts and like we're involved in the podcast,
yeah.
we keep talking about the subject, then people are going to keep talking about it.
Yes, they are.
But listen, apart from the football, because I didn't think we were talking about football until the show.
Well, I know, but nothing else has kicked off really, has it? In our week.
No, well, it has for me personally. I mean, as you know, I went to the hospital on Saturday morning.
Yes, you did.
Had the results of my scan, which I already knew about, but actually get it from the surgeon's mouth was slightly different. So basically what he said to me was, I was actually going to give you a time and a date for an operation. He said, but I've seen you walk in, I'm happy enough now not to operate on you.
Jesus.
So it's a wait and watch, and he explained the reasons why he didn't want to operate on me now. So if you imagine the spine as most people would, and the sections of bone and the discs in between. So my C5 and C6 have been fused together.
Okay.
And the cage has been grafted around it to keep it together.
Nice.
So there's no shock absorber there at all now.
Oh.
So C3 and C4 are bouncing up and down on basically on a hard surface, if you like, with no spring in it. So what happens when that keeps going like that? Eventually it bulges. So it's bulging onto my spinal cord. So we knew it was bulging onto my spinal cord. So my original operation, they went through my neck. This operation, they have to go through the back.
Yeah.
And it means going through a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
So it's the higher part, just the lower part of the skull, if you like. So a hell of a lot of muscle to go through. And what he basically said to me was, it's a wait and watch, because if I operate on you now, because there's that much muscle there, we'd have to go through it. It's more intricate. There's more chance of us paralysing you there and then. So I have to wait until they get worse before they can operate. Which a bit of a surprise to me, of course. I've been pounding the pavement doing this 56 miles in February.
You've done 60,000 in the first 5 days.
Yeah, I've done about 64, but the last 3 days I've had to take a rest.
Yes, you have.
And I think when I was speaking to the surgeon and I was telling him, am I okay to walk? I think he was happy for me to walk, but I don't think he was expecting me to be doing 10s, 8s, 7 mile walks.
No.
So I think what I did was, I've been pounding the pavement, and as you know, that in itself has an impact on your spine. So I overdid it, in extreme pain for the last 3 days. So I've rested as much as I could. I'm back at it tomorrow, and then obviously we've got this big walk on Sunday from Otterspool to New Brighton and back again. So I'm resting so that I'm fit enough to do that. But apart from that, I think my days of doing 10 milers, and certainly I won't be climbing any mountains anymore. And I won't be scrapping with anyone. I won't be able to fight anyone. So no more boxing for me. But yeah, so a bit of a shock. But I'm glad I know, because it like I said, the reason this all come about was I've been struggling with my back for years, but I got a new. It cost me about 500 was it more than 500 quid? I can't remember now. A what's it called? Dash cam. So it had a dash cam fitted in the front and one in the rear.
Yep.
Now, every now and then you get like a black hazard light on it, and you have to repress. You have to reset the button. So I leaned over to reset the button, and something clicked in my neck.
Oh God!
And I ended up with terrible pain in my shoulder. Left it longer than I should have done,
As
and
you
then
do.
Rowena pushed me into going to see the doctors. I'd had a hospital visit where they mistakenly thought I'd had a heart issue. It was down to the pain, so my blood pressure was up. Eventually seen a physiotherapist who wouldn't touch me, set me straight for an MRI scan, and then she obviously informed me of what had happened, and I'm trying to think of what the pointer started off with. What was it on about?
Well, you're talking about the appointment to see the
Yeah,
hospital.
I wouldn't have found out what was wrong with me had it not been for the dash cam getting fitted. So it was probably the best 500 quid I've ever spent in my life. I know it sounds ridiculous.
A little bit.
So in the meantime, I'm just trying to stay focused, stay happy, and
Stay vertical.
Stay vertical. Yeah, yeah, really, really strange one. But the worst part of it was really, to be honest with you, the surgeon. God bless his little cotton socks. He didn't look much older than you, to be perfectly honest with you. He looked really, really, really young.
Oh,
actually, I was at one stage young and tall, and fit as Butcher's dog. And I was actually at one stage. Although I struggled to engage with him properly, I was actually going to say to him, "Do you play football?" Because we're looking for a centre forward or a centre half. Yeah, you know what? Everything goes back to football. So when I see these people, like, I'm thinking, you'd make a bloody good centre forward or a good centre half. But I didn't get to that stage. But I felt I walked away from it not being able to answer get the questions answered that I wanted. So I'm reaching out to people now that suffer with similar issues to see what their experiences are of it, and has anybody successfully sort of done a wait and watch for 10, 15 years, or on the reverse side of that, is it as I thought the other day after pounding the pavements? I thought I've crocked myself up. The pain's eased off now, so I'm hoping it's lower spine rather than the what's we got, discs touching the spinal cord. So yeah, anybody that's experienced of back pain, and particularly what I've been talking about there, bulging discs, C3 and 4 into the spinal cord. If you know anything, then contact me on social media and let me know. I know Paula, who used to be on the board of directors a while back, she's reached out as well. So we need to contact her personally and see what her experience of it is, because she's obviously suffered herself, and it stopped her from, actually she stepped down as a reason,
is that
direct
right?
reason for that. So
Damn.
yeah, it's I just sometimes get the impression that these surgeons are a little bit more aloof, and they don't want to answer the questions you ask them. Anyway, listen, I've said enough about myself, and we've talked enough about ladies football for the time being. We'll park that one.
Yeah.
What have you been watching on telly?
I'm still watching The West Wing at the minute.
West Wing.
Yeah. I haven't really gotten into anything else. The West Wing is 155 episodes, and it's an hour each. So I'm just plodding through that at the minute. At a reasonable
We've started
rate.
watching Betrayal.
That's it.
Have you watched that yet?
No.
No? You heard about it?
Maybe.
It's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's it about?
It's set in London and in
LA?
Liverpool.
Oh. Okay.
So the lead actor, can't remember his name now.
Good.
He played young Endeavour.
Oh, yeah. Forgotten his name. Know who you mean, though.
Yeah, brilliant actor. Scouser, I didn't realise he was a Scouser, but he actually born and bred in Liverpool. So yeah, I've been watching that. It's a little bit of a complicated storyline. It's about a threat to national security. He's sort of on his way out of MI5. He's trying to get pushed out, and they're not taking much notice of him.
Okay.
He sort of works his sort of business on song and prayer, it seems. Hit and miss. But by and large, he's more right than he is wrong. But his bosses seem to have fallen out of favour with him. But it's a slow burner, but it's a good one. And it's also about a relationship with a man and a woman, where a man is in the MI5 and he can't really explain what he's doing at his job. To such a point that, I think occasionally in that kind of world, you end up having affairs because of it. So he's had an affair and he's trying to buy her trust back. Well, not buy her trust back, but he's trying to get her trust back. But yeah, listen, it's a really good drama. Well worth watching.
Sounds good, man.
Enjoyed it. But trying to keep watching funny things like Only Fools and Horses, just to keep the happy morale up, you know what I mean?
Happy morale, dearie me.
But listen, we've spoken enough about that. We'll get on with the show, I think.
We will, let's go.
Let's go for it. Hello and welcome to the Speaking Frankly Football Show. I'm Frank Hughes, the chairman of Skelmersdale United Football Club, and alongside me is my co-host and passionate press officer, AJ Vergette. Not that being involved with the football club is a prerequisite for hosting a football podcast, but it certainly helps. We are ready to dive headfirst into the vibrant world of non-league football in the North West, and we might even take a moment to discuss some of the bigger headlines in the sport. We'll explore life in the North West counties, bring you interviews with well-known faces in the league, and analyse how local teams are performing while making bold predictions for their upcoming matches. Nothing is off the limits here. We'll be diving into all kinds of topics, including complicated refereeing decisions and regulations that often leave fans perplexed. We want to hear from you too. This is your show, so don't hesitate to reach out with topics you want us to tackle. Let's get this conversation started and enjoy every single moment. We are speaking frankly. Hello and welcome to the Speaking Frankly Football Show. This is Season 2, Episode 29, and a very warm welcome to my co-host, AJ Vergette.
Hello Frank, hello everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in once again to the Speaking Frankly Football Show. We're here to bring you the trials and tribulations of most things non-league football in the northwest of England. Today we are going to be looking at the Northwest Counties Roundup. There's been some change over at Cheadle Town. Padiham are having a bad time of it, and our Litherland Remica beginning to start the Great Escape. We'll also look at Division 1 North and Division 1 South, where the focus of attention will largely be on Ashton Athletic, Maghull and Runcorn. We'll look at slightly higher up the pyramid in Marine and Southport. We'll look at Bootle, Bury, and then we'll also go to Controversial Corner, where obviously the focus of attention will quite naturally be on Droylsden against Bilston. There is no guest this week, so we will go straight to Skelmersdale United, as well as our predictions and analysis and expert opinions. So all of that is to come and plenty more. But first...
well, let's probably explain why we probably have fewer guests on this season than we did last. It's a complicated one, really, because of when we record, and obviously the fact that most of our guests are actively involved in football, so training nights and things like that get in the way. We should have had Andy Barlow on the show this week. We will be having him on the show next week. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it today because of work, but he's cleared it in his diary next week. So we will have a guest on next week, and we're not giving up on guests altogether. We invite responses from anybody that wants to come on to this show. We have got guests lined up, and when we can feasibly fit them in, we will do. But in the meantime, we'll talk about the Northwest Counties Roundup, starting with Cheadle Town, as you mentioned. Jake Davis stepped down following their 3-1 defeat at home to Glossop North End. I don't think they have made or recruited anybody else at this moment in time.
No, they haven't.
They did a reasonably good job, Jake. I mean, we we don't talk about Cheadle much.
No,
but I would imagine there's not a great deal of money there, is there?
I wouldn't have thought so. They are facing battles locally as well. You've got the 3 Stockport clubs as well as Cheadle Heath Nomads in and around that Stockport and Cheshire area that Cheadle are based in. So all of that is a bit of a challenge. I don't think, as you say, there's an awful lot of money around. Jake in himself is quite young. I believe he's 31. He's very young for a manager. And I don't know whether he's been offered another opportunity or whether he just feels like he's taken Cheadle Town as far as what he can do at this time. But he leaves them 17th in the table, comfortably
safe. They're safe.
Comfortably safe from any threat of relegation, but now with an opportunity to start rebuilding to be bigger and better. So obviously we wish Jake all the very best with whatever the future holds in store for him, and we await any news from Cheadle Town as to a replacement.
Yeah. So listen, it's been a tough week for Bearscough. I know we talk about Bearscough a lot. They were beaten comprehensively by leaders Wythenshawe 4-1 at the weekend. That said, Stephen Rigby was sent off very early on in the game. After ending a opponent, and they've scored from the resultant penalty. They got back into the game and levelled it in the 25th minute, but poor decision making and arguably poor officiating has let them down in the end. But no disgrace there, because Wythenshawe are actually running away with it at the moment.
They are starting to run away with it a little bit, yeah. So they have played 2 games more than Ramsbottom at the top of the table, but they hold a 12-point lead at this time. So you'd be sort of a bit of a fool to not bank on them to complete the job as it was. Bearscough, never an easy place to go at the best of times, but I think Wythenshawe were given a large advantage by having to play nearly the entire game against an opponent with a man advantage.
Well, I think Dempsey himself said, didn't he? For practically, if you had the added time on, they played for 90 minutes without Stephen Rigby. So it was going to be a difficult task against Wythenshawe. But
always.
Listen, so they were 2-0 down at Glossop midweek. So you begin to think the wheels are falling off a little bit. But they did have a weakened team. But somehow they managed to draw level to earn a point. So they were 2-0 down at half-time, but managed to scrape it back, which shows...
And Stephen Rigby scored in that one.
Did he? Yeah, well, he'll be banned for Saturday's game, won't he, by all accounts. But yeah, listen, they've shown great character and resilience. And
oh, had you?
Listen, I think we expected them to be in the playoffs. I certainly did.
You did. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I did, but
no.
I'm quite stunned with how it's gone for them. I didn't think that they'd be this high and fighting this consistently for it. Last season they were sort of lower end of the table until that 10-game surge kind of propelled them up the table to about 10th place. But this season, complete turnaround, largely the same players, but a different mindset, a couple of new additions here and there, and they're absolutely rocketing up the league.
Yeah. So listen, Wythenshawe added to their victory over Bearscough with a 6-1 win over Pilks. They've now got a 12-point advantage over Ramsbottom, albeit you said Ramsbottom have got 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
So Rammy had a 1-1 draw with Charnock Richard at the weekend and then beat Cheadle 2-1 on Tuesday night. So listen, it's been a good week for Wythenshawe.
It has been a very good week for Wythenshawe. It's been particularly advantageous given that the teams around them don't seem to be getting much in the way of consistent wins. The top 5 at the minute is constantly changing. So Earlham have now entered the playoffs as a result of a decent run of form, including a 3-0 win at Barnoldswick on Tuesday night. So they are now third, 5 points behind Ramsbottom. and level on points with Padiham. Burscough are in 5th after their little wobble. West Didsbury and Chorlton out of the playoffs for the first time since October. They weren't in action. Oh yeah, sorry, they were. They were in action on Tuesday night. They beat Padiham 2-1 at Padiham as well. A early goal from Ben Elliott, and then a goal just before the hour mark from recent new signing Brandon Dawson, giving them a win over Padiham.
And the misery continues for them, doesn't it? Because they've scored. They've not scored.
They've secured just
they've
1
secured
point.
Just 1 point from the last 18.
From their last 18 points available. So reasonable, really, without a win in their last 6 games. They're on a really poor run of form at the minute. They've slipped back into the radar of the chasing teams below them. So there's now just 5 points between themselves in 4th and Chadderton in 8th. Chadderton, who have 3 games in hand on Padiham themselves. So Padiham at a little bit of a risk of not qualifying for playoff contention altogether. It's very congested up at the top. As I say, losing to West Didsbury and Chorlton at home on Tuesday night, and that followed a 3-3 draw with Chadderton, where they thought they'd secured 3 points after Lee Pugh scored in the 2nd minute of injury time at the end of the game. But in the 94th minute of the game, Benito Lowe scored a penalty for the visitors, Chadderton, to ensure they made it back down to North Manchester with a point for their troubles. So difficult games for Padiham to negotiate here, but ones that if you are looking to get into the Northern Premier League, and they have contested the playoffs last season as well, these are the games that you've got to be winning, really, to at least kind of demonstrate.
The third from bottom in the form table.
Are they now?
Now, the only teams that have done worse than them: City,
Liverpool and Litherland Remica.
Well, no, Pilkington, believe
really?
it or not. Litherland have picked up a little bit. At the top of the form table, Everton are 6 consecutive wins. David Jones doing really well again there.
It's not even just that. They are now one of those teams who have propelled themselves into playoff contention, something that we absolutely didn't see coming, really. We didn't think LR were going to struggle, but we thought that them being the new kids on the block, as far as promotion was concerned from Division 1 North last season, that if they were mid-table, they would be happy. But back-to-back wins over Padiham home and away, and Prestwich Hayes home and away has been part of that 6-match winning run, which has seen them jump up to 7th place, just 3 points behind Burscough in 5th, and having played 3 games less than the Linnets as well. So again, they're part of that congested contingent. So they played. Did they play on? I think they did play on Tuesday night. Did they?
Yeah.
Yes, they played away at AFC Liverpool, where George Chadwick, the right back, actually scored a brace. One 11 minutes from time, and the other one just on the 90th minute to take the 3 points back to Greater Manchester from Liverpool. An excellent result for Davy Jones and his boys. I don't imagine, knowing Davy Jones as we do, that they're going to get carried away with this. But
no, I think the only issue with Everton is that, in terms of the rest of the league, they've got a really, really good goals against. So they're defensively, they're really well set up.
Well, that is always how Davy Jones has played the game.
Yeah, but in terms of goal scoring, they're sort of 30 goals behind Wythenshawe.
Yeah, they are. They tend to win games by 1, maybe 2. And that's not been helped by losing Brandon Dawson to West Didsbury and Chorlton. Yeah, I mentioned him earlier on as being a new signing. That was where he'd come in from. Now, although they do have goals all over the pitch, they've got Tom Lawless, they've got Cal Hunter, they've got Harvey Sample, Joe Bacon, all of these players that are contributing, en masse. They've not really got a standalone goal scorer
Do they play that formation that allows for that kind of open play?
They tend to, if I remember rightly, they tend to play a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1, which gives a lot of opportunity for their two fullbacks, Harvey Brooks and George Chadwick, to bomb up and down the wings and kind of give them license to roam. So they're actually chipping in an awful lot with goals and assists, whereas, and I think that kind of isolates the striking opportunities there. It just means that there are goals coming from all over the park, but only in short spurts, and not really having somebody who leads the line quite well. Ironically enough, I was going to mention Elliot Taylor of AFC Liverpool, but he drew a blank on that Tuesday night game against the LR. But he's one of those players who can get you 20 goals plus in this division, and maybe that is what they need. But
yeah, most definitely they need a goal scorer there if they're going to really listen. You get into contention as they are now. They're only a few points out of the playoffs. 3 points, another win. They're back in there with a shout, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
They just need to maybe defensively. The sound. They just need to score more goals and they'll win more games.
I think so. But you know what that old adage is: attackers win you games, but defences win you trophies.
Yeah, fair enough. So listen, at the bottom of the table, Remy have continued to improve with back-to-back draws, the latest of which was a 2-2 draw away from home at Barnoldswick. That's a really, really good result for them.
A very positive result.
Steve Scott has done a tremendous job since taking over from Jamie Rainford, but is it a little bit too late?
They've got 10 points to cover between themselves and Abbey Hay, who are 22nd, and they have a game in hand on the Hay, and I think it won't have done anything bad for them that Abbey Hay drew with Barnoldswick on Saturday the 7th. To kind of, I won't say drag Barlick into contention there, but it does kind of prove that these teams have got a bit of mettle against Barlick, and so Abbey A have got themselves a point where maybe they we didn't see that one coming, but Remy's do again still have a bit of ground to make up. I would love to see them pull off a great escape. I'm sort of half rooting for them a little bit just because of how much of a Cinderella story it would be if they got out of this mess with 14 games to go and a 10-point gap to cover. I'm not saying that is what Steve Scott is looking at. I think from his perspective, and I said this when he was appointed, I think he needs to look more at preparing for next season, whether that be in the Premier Division or, more likely than not, Division 1 North. But I think he's certainly pulling a bit more of an interest into Remy with those back-to-back draws.
Yeah. Listen, we don't mention Abbey Hay much, and I'm going off piste here a little bit because I've not really included this in the sort of production notes. But Abbey Hay have started an appeal to raise £100,000 for a synthetic pitch. Am I right?
Yes, they have.
Yeah. Up to this point, they've raised a grand total of how much do you think?
Oh God, they're asking for £100,000.
They're asking for £100,000 awards.
There are teams who ask for £30,000 and barely get near that.
So okay, if we look at the crowdfunder page for that, up to now, and it's they've got 33 days to raise it. Well, listen, it doesn't matter. I don't know when the appeal started, but it was only a few days ago. They've only raised £346. I don't really think you can laugh. I've not told you that so you'd laugh.
That is phenomenal. Do you know what? I can really appreciate anybody who's chipped in some money into that £346. So it means they're only £99,654 away from their target. So they're getting there. They're getting there.
Yeah, very slowly. But yeah, listen, it really annoys me though that clubs at that level that have had a long history and association with the Northwest Counties,
have they?
That they have to go to that sort of level to go and
Well-
raise that kind of money. There should be more help from Football Foundation. I'm assuming that would be their not donation. That would be their, what's the word for it?
Route?
No, in terms of the Football Foundation probably provide 60% of it, and they've got to raise another £100,000 to make up the shortfall.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah.
How much does a synthetic pitch cost?
Well, from scratch, you're probably looking at 1 point something million.
Shut up.
Yeah, depending.
No, you aren't.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, first of all, you've got to take everything off the surface. You've got to scrape everything down.
That's fine.
You've got to build the foundations of it, the membrane.
Honestly, just get one person with
drainage.
a digger.
Yeah.
One person with a digger can do that.
I don't think it's that easy.
Of course it is.
No, it's not that easy. So, as an example, the JMO now, the south pitch, the one that we used to play on, in order to get that back up to FIFA standard now, everything's set in place, but I think there's problems with the drainage, maybe one or two other issues, but it's going to cost in the regions of £400,000 just to replace the carpet on there.
Who has that money?
Well, obviously people do, and they spend it. I think I said to you, how much was it that they reckon you should raise a minimum of? Listen, it was on the tip of my tongue all the time, but if
300, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was £275,000, wasn't it? If you run that pitch well enough over the course of year,
it pays for itself, doesn't it?
It should gross, a decent sum of money.
That's fine. But Abbey Hay, I wouldn't have said that they're the most industrious club. We don't really hear them in terms of their roots in the community.
You used to be the head of the Manchester FA. I don't know whether it still is or not. You went there, didn't you?
No.
I thought you'd been there.
Why would I be in there? Abbey Hay.
Was it Main Road that we beat, was it?
Yes, yeah, it was Main
Road. You
Road.
had the pylon.
Yes, that was Main Road. They played in blue.
Oh, yeah.
Don't think Abbey Hay.
Sorry, Main Road was the head of the Manchester FA once upon a time. So, yeah, you're right.
So, Abbey Hay are based in Gorton, which is in Greater Manchester. Mm-hmm. They are about 3/4 of a mile away from Manchester City Football Club. Yeah. If they really felt so inclined, they could probably contact them for, some kind of, resource support.
You'll never get support from the big clubs. But listen, what they've said is their aim is to install a 4G pitch at Abbey Hay, along with new stands and an updated clubhouse. Also, to create a full women and girls pathway. Cool. Now, the Red Rebels, as they're nicknamed, they were founded back in 1902, so they're a long-established football club.
Yes, they are.
And it says we want to replace the current grass pitch with a 4G Astro. This will allow us to host more games, have a dedicated training facility for adult and youth football. It will also give opportunity to community-based sessions. So along with the new pitch, we want to replace the main stand to make Abbey Hay a more attractive and comfortable environment to watch football. They're introducing a women's and girls section with a women's first team all the way through to a full girls junior section in time for the start of the 2026-27 season. So listen, you can't blame them for being ambitious.
Can't blame them for being ambitious. I think there's probably better ways to go about it than a crowdfunding appeal, quite honestly. I think if you want to do anything, you've got to be talking to your local MPs, you've got to be talking to your local councils, you've got to be talking to your property developers, anybody who's automatically got money.
It's a very, very deprived area. Last time I went down to Abbey, it really is.
It's in Gorton, yeah.
And I don't know whether... parts of Shameless were filmed in Gorton, if memory serves me correct. But in terms of facilities around there, I don't think there's a great deal for people to do. So a 4G pitch would be great for the local community. So listen, let's try and help them if we can. Raise a few bob by mentioning it. If you can join the crowdfunding page and send a few bob over to them, every little bit will help. I'm sure they'll make up the shortfall in other ways.
Yeah.
I think for a club like Abbey Hay, once again on limited resources. This could keep a club in the Northern Premier League for the year, not Northern Premier League, North West Counties for the years to come. I think it's an absolute asset to a football club now to have a plastic pitch.
It is, but it's also quite rare. If you think about the teams that don't have one, I'm sort of looking at Atherton LR. Really, they're still an enormous hub in their community, and they're managing all right by having other, laid foundations for money incoming there. I just think that relying on a crowdfunding is probably not going to be the best way to go about it when you are sort of you're well followed, but it's it's a humble number of people if you compare it to West Didsbury and Chorlton, Wythenshawe, Bury aren't really far away, Chadderton.
We're talking about the bigger community here. We're not just talking about Abbey Hay anymore, are we? We're talking about women's football, girls' football, junior sections.
Is there an interest for women's football in the Abbey Hay area?
Well, it's growing, isn't it? It's growing right across the country. But if you haven't got a facility there that can provide, the ground for them to play on, then listen, there's only so many games you can play a season on Abbey Hay's grass pitch.
I know.
It's a difficult pitch to play on at the best of times.
Yeah, it is.
Particularly in inclement weather.
Yeah, which we're seeing on other teams as well. Padiham, FC St Helens, Charnock Richard, Atherton LR, as I've said. All of them play on grass pitches as well. And yet, they're all actually thriving. Because they've got other ways of going about it as well. I wish them well, and I really do hope that they get their plastic pitch in place. I don't think crowdfunding is going to do it.
Well, they're going to have to find a way.
Of course they are.
And people are going to have to try and support that, whether that's local politicians, whatever. Somebody's got to find a way of helping them out. But when we talked about FC St Helens last week, didn't we? And their discussions about bringing investors in. So we're looking at a team that's in the lofty sort of positions, 9th place in the the Northwest Counties Premier Division at this moment in time. But to sustain football at that level, they're somewhere down the line, they're going to be looking at a plastic pitch.
They are. Yeah,
that's the way forward and if we're going to listen, we'll come on to it in a minute, but we're going to further dilute non-league football. Then the only way we're going to keep up with the Joneses is by having plastic pitches. But listen, we'll come to that later on in the show. So City of Liverpool still can't win a game, but they managed to bring the score lines down, so the level of defeat is a little bit less now. So they lost to South Liverpool 2-1 on Tuesday night, which was very much a derby of the two Liverpools.
It was, the two Liverpools that don't play in Liverpool, really.
South Liverpool do, yeah.
Oh, yeah, South Liverpool do. Sorry, I'm thinking of AFC Liverpool. South Liverpool went away and to City Liverpool at the community ground, beat them by 2-1. Just trying to find the paperwork on it, because as we're really organised here on the Speaking Frankly Football show. I can't really sort of say it straight off the bat right now, but it wouldn't surprise me if Neil Weaver had scored, because he does. Let's have a look. No, he didn't. All right, fair enough. No, goals from Sam McNeil and then Owen Dursley sandwiched Lee Miller's equaliser for the City of Liverpool. 93 turned out on that Tuesday night to watch the two Liverpool clubs go head-to-head. It's a result that sees South Liverpool move into 14th place in the league, level on points with Prestwich Hayes, and City Liverpool still in the relegation places, but only 3 points behind Abbey Hay with 2 games in hand on them. As for Pilkington, their 6-1 defeat at Wythenshawe on Tuesday night means that they join City of Liverpool in having conceded over 100 goals this season, and there's still 12 games to go there.
Does it still feel very much like a slow, painful death?
For City, yeah, it does. I think time is ticking on City of Liverpool. We've heard very little about what's going to happen for next season. What's his name? Paul Manning has not actually come out and said anything as regards to any of the financial worries that are going on, any of the worries that the fans have. There's no idea about whether they're still going to be playing at Burscough next season, whether there is even going to be a team next season. He's said nothing.
Listen, you mentioned Pilks there. We were hoping that this sort of new manager phenomenon would sort of take place, but since Glenn Hurst has arrived, you say they're shipping a few goals, aren't they?
I mean, conceding 6 to Wythenshawe in itself is not...
No, it's not a disgrace.
It's not a disgrace. Wythenshawe, best goal scorers, second best goal scorers in the league. Ironically enough, Chadderton have got a better goal scoring rate than they do, but they've got Lewis Byrne and Benito Lowe, so what are you going to do? But even so... one of the things
we know Glenn Hurst has gone in there thinking, listen, this is... I think he's gone in there looking at the league table and said to himself, listen, we're not getting relegated. He's made a few changes, quick changes, brought a lot of new players into the fold. He's obviously building for next season.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll be too bothered by some of these defeats.
No, I think the manner of the defeat will still be a bit concerning to him, because I think it will have a bit more of a dictation on how much of an overhaul of the squad is going to come around in the off-season. Because if players still aren't putting in 100% now, are they going to be the same kind of players you want when your backs are to the wall and relegation is a possibility? Even game by game, you've still got to... I still want each team to feel like they've got to treat every game as its own cup final, quite honestly, and empty the tank. But maybe I'm a bit more old school. Anyway,
we spoke to Glenn Hurst and he was very, very positive. Just wonder whether he
was optimistic, wasn't he?
As optimistic as he was back then. But listen,
I know we're going to move on.
Best of luck to him. Division 1 North. First of all, congratulations to Joey Burns, who took charge of his 300th game at McGull. He marked that. Yes, excellent. He marked that with a 3-1 win at home to Cone.
Excellent result.
Joey took took control of the club back in 2016. So it's basically fast approaching 10 years at the helm. Quite a feat at this level of football.
Do you reckon the longevity of football management at this level is, that low and that small? Because I know we've got people like Dave Pace and Brent Peters who've been at the helm for 2+ decades and all of that. But otherwise, I sort of think that managers more often than not have quite a decent shelf life, unless they choose to go of their own accord. I think it's more rare than not.
I think the longevity of managers now is fast diminishing. Look at Sean Dyche, who's already gone from Nottingham Forest.
Well, already. But that's a trigger-happy chairman at the top end of the professional gaming. I mean, I'm talking about down here.
Listen, we're going to talk about Headlessford soon. So
we are going to talk about Headlessford.
We'll get onto that.
That's ironic in itself. But anyway,
listen, well done to Joey Burns, of course, former guest on the show. Best of luck as he continues onto his 400th game. With any luck.
I think he'll get charge of his 400th game. Looking ahead to where that may... I think it'll probably be about 2029 by the time that one comes around. So, do you know what? If he's still there, fair play to him. But if he's not in the Premier League, then, questions will be asked, Joey. No,
well, the question is, will I still be there? But anyway, let's move on. MSB Walton is still top... they are top of the league following a 3-3 draw against Cone.
I mean, that's absolutely mental, isn't it? It's their first season. It's their first season in Division 1 North, and somehow they found themselves top of the pile. I think it is now near enough every single team have been top of the table.
Well, it's hard to imagine, isn't it? Because we're in the Liverpool County Premier League now, but it's hard to imagine that a team that's come directly promoted from Liverpool County Premier League could be topping, as they are actually topping the North West Counties Division 1 North. It doesn't make any sense at all. This
league has not made any sense at all this season. It's been absolutely bonkers. And they played out a really decent draw away at Cone. Daniel Venter on the score sheet yet again for MSB Woolton. I think he's now in the top 5 goal scorers in the division. Ironically enough, though, MSB Woolton will probably feel a bit more irritated to have not come away with all 3 points, considering they were 3-0 up at half-time and conceded 2 goals to Cone within the first 3 minutes of the second half, and then Barney Wiggin scoring his second of the game with 3 minutes of the match remaining to seal a point for the East Lancashire side.
Yeah, there wasn't much pressure for them because Droylsden were involved in the FA Vase, which we'll talk about
they were
later.
Yeah. Oh, they were.
I'm looking at some of the teams in the top 5 there. Anybody could take over that top spot at the weekend, depending on results.
Yeah, they really could.
It's that mad.
Absolutely, yeah. And the results that have happened over the weekend have seen Nelson drop to 8th place in the league. Their game in the middle of the week was off due to a waterlogged pitch that was at home to Forward Amateurs, and as well as that they were not in action on Saturday the 7th, again due to a waterlogged pitch when they were due to face Main Road, so it adds more games in hand to the East Lancashire side, who have just today announced the signing of Connor Hughes from Mossley Football Club, so he'll be joining with immediate effect to lead the line for Nelson as they hope to score a few more goals. They've only scored 27 in 17 games, whereas Thornton Cleveley's have already passed the 50 goal mark, and there's at least 5 teams around Nelson that have scored 40 plus, so they need to hurry themselves up, quite honestly.
Yeah, and listen, we talked about it before, but I think in total now, Nelson have had 11 games postponed during the season.
That's ludicrous, though.
It is. I know some of that will be with cup involvement, but I think that's going to hinder them, and possibly the congestion might play havoc with their promotion aspirations. But
I think it may do. I think they're probably one of those teams that, as you say, may very well need a plastic pitch if they're going to continue to have some consistent involvement within the league. Either that, or the league has to, make a bit of a U-turn on their decision to spread games out further and further. As we saw last year, they were playing 2 a week for the first 3 months of the season. Take advantage of
Nelson have had issues with their own ground.
They have floodlights. Yes, yeah. They were.
So that hasn't helped. I mean,
no.
Under normal circumstances, that wouldn't be happening every season, would it?
No, it wouldn't.
I think they've managed it fairly well this season. I mean, we were talking about how many games are left now.
So 34. So yeah, there are some teams who are entering the final 10-12 games of the season, whereas Nelson
they're running on course by and large.
Nelson are exactly halfway through their games.
Yeah, Nelson are the exception. The rest of them are sort of pretty much running on.
They are.
On time.
So exciting there. Yeah. Anyway, down at the bottom of the table, Ashton Athletic upset all the odds by beating Steeton 3-2 at Brocksteeds Park. A 93rd minute winner from Adam Gilchrist saw them haul themselves up off the bottom of the table at the expense of Garstang, who drew in the at the weekend, and that sent the home contingent absolutely bonkers. All 41 of them. Our manager Andy was there watching his son Joe, who's the starting left back for Ashton Athletic. Emotions and celebrations at the end very, very high. So he said, "I'm not surprised."
Yeah, what he reckons is based on what he could see, the camaraderie between the players. There's every chance that they could escape that relegation zone. What do you think? Do you think they can get out of that bottom 3?
I think they're asking a lot of themselves to get out of that bottom 3. I think they've got 6 points to cover between themselves and Cone, who are 15th out of the 18 teams there. I think they'll stay within the bottom 3. There's obviously no danger of them being relegated, through the average points per game process, because they've already, surpassed our relegation total from last season. I just think that there's a lot of investment from the community and from various organisations that need to be made in Ashton Athletic if they're going to have any chance of not being that team that are just existing for the sake of existing at the minute. I know that they've got, a handful of players there of immense talent, but it's probably only a matter of time before they're tempted by offers elsewhere. So I think, and as well, sharing a town with Ashton, as they do, it means that commercially speaking, they are the more inferior team, with the greatest of respect.
And they're out on a limb as well, because you've been there. It's on the other side of the motorway. It's basically in the countryside.
It is in the countryside. It's not really near anything or around anything. You've got to go down.
I think if you're growing up in Ashton, your natural team to go and support is Ashton Town.
It is Ashton Town, 100%.
I feel sorry for them because there's a great deal of hard work goes into running the
evidently, but they've got to think about just doing more than surviving right now. They've really got to think about thriving at this point.
So Division 1 South, Runcorn stamped their credentials on their title aspirations with a 6-1 win over Stafford Town. We could see that one coming and just didn't think the margin of victory would be as large as it is.
No, with Stafford Town sort of being where they are and where they have been, we really did think that this was going to be...
Season
it has really been a disappointing season so far. I mean, Stafford Town kind of threw everything that they could in all fronts last season. They had an amazing...
Still finished third, didn't they?
Yeah, they finished third in the league overall, so they were in the playoffs, when we thought that they might end up winning the league at one point. Obviously, they were in a bit of a battle with Winsford United until the turn of the year, and then Winsford ended up running away with it on the back of a 25-match unbeaten run. But even then, they challenged on the domestic front as well. They made it to the final of the was it the Staffordshire? No. What did they get beaten in the final of by Atherton LR?
The Macron?
It was the Macron, yes, thank you. It was the Macron, and it wasn't Atherton LR.
Wasn't the Edward Case?
No, it wasn't the Edward Case. No, it was the Macron, and they were beaten by Charnock Richard. They lost. They lost to Charnock Richard in the Edward in the Macron. They lost the playoff final. As well, the league slipped away from them, so we thought that they'd have a much better season this time around off the back of that, but it hasn't turned out that way. They're now 6th, though they're out of the playoff places at the minute. They've been replaced by Sandbach United. So Stafford ended up losing at home to Cheadle Heath Nomads on Saturday, despite taking the lead through Scott Wilding. They're unable to hold on to that lead as the Nomads score 3 goals without reply. And then in the middle of the week they were battered 6-1 by Runcorn Town again, despite having taken the lead. Sam Flower scored 2, as did Charlie Harland for the hosts, who thanks to the withdrawal of Wolverhampton Sporting Community.
Well, can we just sort of go back a little bit there and talk about the joint manager Darren Moore, a previous guest on the show? He was a little bit disappointed to see the club's lead reduced after the announcement that Wolverhampton Sporting Community had indeed resigned from the league. Runcorn had picked up 2 victories against Sporting Community and scored 11 goals during that period of those 2 games. So the expunging of those results reduced the gap to 2 points from 6. He said it shouldn't be allowed in a league for at least, or any league for at least another 12 months, in my opinion. Quitting with 12 games left is a poor move, and with no thought of the league and the teams who have travelled to Wolverhampton and taken points. Their media team retorted by saying they should never have been put in the league. So now, listen, they've got a 4-point advantage in a game in hand over Eccleshaw, whose game at the weekend was postponed. But listen, let's talk about, we've talked about it before, and where the FA determine who goes where. Do we feel sorry for Runcorn because of this, or do we feel sorry for Wolverhampton Sporting Community because they didn't want to be put into the North West Counties Division 1 South?
Probably a bit of both, to be honest. I can understand where Runcorn have come from because they've picked up 2 victories and scored 11 goals. But at this stage in the season, it felt like playing Wolverhampton Sporting Community was a bit of a gimme and that you were almost automatically going to win anyway.
Eccleshall lost a point, by the way, because Eccleshall drew with Wolverhampton Sporting Community. So you can probably understand Darramore a little bit when you look at that.
Yeah, but if he's pinning all of his hopes and dreams of winning the league on beating Wolverhampton Sporting Community twice and not focusing on the other 16 teams in the league, 17 teams, sorry, then he's playing a bit of a fool's errand, really. And Eccleshall hadn't played Wolverhampton Sporting Community for the second time, but you would imagine that they would have likely won that game, and so the points would have been, reduced regardless. But you can
see his point. They put the effort in there.
Point to a degree.
It's cost them money to go and play them.
Yeah,
we all understand that it's a cost exercise. But I think maybe Darren sort of taking his eye off a little bit there. They've actually said themselves that they didn't want to be put in there because of the. Because of
the travel and the logistics.
Distance,
yeah, exactly. They didn't have an awful lot of money to begin with, and they were making really quite lengthy journeys, up to Merseyside and Manchester, Cheshire, places like that. So I get that for Wolverhampton Sporting Community was a serious fool's errand in order to try and make the best of anything in that league, and obviously it's kind of hurt them over the course of the season, time and time again.
Well, they were reprieved last season.
They were reprieved.
So they were fortunate there, but I'm probably holding out for a lateral move to the Midland Division, and it didn't come off.
No,
albeit that they, under most circumstances, you'd have been relegated anyway. But the points per game ratio went in their favour, so they managed to stay in there.
Just about.
Well, let's move on to Telford. They're in third place. They've had the last 5 games postponed due to rain, though one of the games was called off because they were unable to field a full team. Now, reading between the lines there, it looks as though they're going through a transitional period, largely due to the departure of the manager, Matty
Baswell.
He was taking around about 8 of their former players with him. So they've made a few signings themselves since. Maybe the league had given them a little bit of leeway in order to get a team together.
Maybe you wouldn't have imagined it'd be that difficult for Telford Town to secure local, some good signings though. A place like Telford, it's quite popular.
It makes you question what's happened now. It looked like a harmonious split. Now it doesn't, does it?
No, it doesn't. No, as we know, Matty Boswell's now taken over at Shawbury United. Evidently taken a lot of his players with him. Doesn't seem to have done them an awful lot of good so far. They're still second from bottom, having accrued 17 points all season. They didn't play this weekend though, so
they've had 1 win in 6 games, haven't they? Since
they have since Boswell came up. They're not going to get relegated. I think it's just virtue of trying to not finish bottom and just see how high up the league they can go before their before the season's up, really. As for Telford, they're still very much within the playoff pecking order. They're still third, so they're still at this time set for a home game in the playoffs, although they will have to watch out for Stockport Georgians, who are on a bit of a rampage at the minute, thrashing Hormond 6-1, with Oliver McFadden helping himself to 5 goals. Greedy guy in that game. And then further to that, I think they played on the on Saturday.
They've done relatively well in the last 6 games. They won 3, lost 3, scored 15 goals and conceded 15 goals. So Hormond have done particularly well in the last 6 games. So I think they stand as good a chance as anyone of clawing themselves away from that relegation spot now.
Like I say, I don't think they're going to get relegated on the points per game. I think it's just a question of where do they finish within the table. They've got the leakiest defence by far in that division. They are the only one there who's conceded 90 plus goals. In fact, they're the only team that's conceded 80 plus goals, although Shawbury are on 79. But if you're Hormond, again, I think it's just a case of just seeing where you can finish in this league and try your damnedest not to finish bottom.
Yeah. Listen, we'll go around the local scene, starting with Marine, following their FA trophy exploits recently. Marine have picked a point up at home to Scarborough at the weekend, but followed that up with a heavy 4-1 defeat away to Ashton United on Tuesday. They play bottom club Leamington at home this week, and obviously hoping to get back to winning ways. Southport, quite like Marine, really. Southport had a good draw against Darlington at the weekend, but lost heavily to Chorley 4-2 on Tuesday night. Now they play Hereford at the weekend, who was second from bottom in a game they really must win because points are really hard to come by at the moment.
They certainly seem to be for Southport. Again, I would have thought that they were sort of too worried by what's happening down below them. Oxford City aren't a million miles away from them, but Southport probably have the more favourable run at this point. So as you say, they drew 2-2 with Darlington, but that positive result was sandwiched by a difficult result either side of that, losing 4-2 away at Chorley and then 2-0 away at Kings Lynn Town. So they've got Hereford at home this Saturday. That's followed by a home game against Buxton and then away games at Kidderminster and Radcliffe. None of them are particularly favourable, if you like. I guess from their own kind of exploits, like you say, the game against Leamington and the next one against Peterborough are prime opportunities for them to pull away from that relegation zone.
I know, speaking to Tommy was at the game on Tuesday night, and he says that he doesn't think, based on what he's seen, that Southport will get relegated. He thinks there's enough substance there to keep them out of that relegation mire. So listen, good luck to Southport at the weekend. Prescott Cables have suffered back-to-back defeats. Away to FC United, they lost 2-1 at the weekend, and on Tuesday night they were beaten 3-1 by Stockton. Not too surprising there. Both teams up in the higher echelons of that division. But it drags them closer to the drop zone again after a brief spell of doing reasonably well. Both Cables are at home to Cleethorpes Town this weekend, so a difficult game, really.
That's a very difficult game, Cleethorpes Town, who are currently sitting, where are they now? 13th in the division, so only 3 places and 2 points above them, but never a nice place to go. Town are on the back of quite a reasonable run of results, including beating Warrington Town 4-1 at home on Tuesday last week. So they're having a bit of a decent bounce, if you like. There's also been a couple of creditable results there, including a 0-0 draw against Ilkeston. So this is going to be a bit of a challenge for the Cables at this point. They're going to be looking over their shoulders a little bit. The Morpeth Town are 4 points behind them with 2 games in hand on them, and have already actually won more games than the Cables have. Cables have established themselves as something of a draw specialist team, having drawn 11 games across this season, which is the most of anybody within this league, without a win as well in their last 3 games. They drew 1-1 with Workington, and then 2-1 loss to FC United of Manchester, and then a 3-1 loss to Stockton. I think they were really hoping from a much more positive result there from the Stockton game. Going to be a bit of a challenge for Prescott Cables to try and hold off, that threat of relegation there.
Yeah. Bootle, they had a weekend off, but hopefully they return to action this Saturday. We don't know because the weather forecast for the weekend or the week ahead is not particularly good. But they're away to Atherton Collieries if they do get to play that game. Yeah. Difficult game for them.
It's a really difficult game for them. Yeah, I mean the collieries are never. It is never a particularly easy place to go. Atherton are in 10th, although they have just lost their last game. I'm trying to load up the results to try and tell you who that was against. Was it Calcer? It was. They lost to Trafford. Yeah, they lost to Trafford, but have followed that up with positive wins at home to Witton Albion and away to Nantwich Town. So really something for Bootle to be concerned about. Although they are themselves the form side in the table, having won their last 3 games and are now just 3 points behind Stalybridge Celtic in the playoffs, having played a game less than them. Although it's been utter chaos in the Northern Premier League West at the minute, with Bury experiencing something of a renaissance and Lower Breck losing 2 out of the last 3.
Well, we'll definitely come to that bit. But talking about Bootle, Adam Morgan, since he took over, doing a particularly good job.
Oh, an excellent job there from Bootle. They were. I don't want to say that they were nobodies, but we weren't really eyeing them up for anything spectacular. But since Morgan took over in early December, was it?
Around about then, was it?
Yeah, so they haven't. Ironically enough, they've not played in throughout February. They were meant to play Vauxhall Motors, as you say, but that game was cancelled. Since then, they've beaten Wythenshawe Town 2-1, Stafford Rangers 1-0, Shifnal Town 2-1, and Sporting Calcer 4-2. So a 4-match winning run throughout all of January. So the momentum really is with Bootle at this point. They even managed very creditable draws against Runcorn Linnets on Boxing Day and Lower Breck just prior to New Year's. So they're actually unbeaten in their last 6 games.
Adam Morgan, by the way, March 2025.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that how long it's been?
Thinking of a different manager.
Honest to God. Do you know what? The Northern Premier League, I'm not
well, we've got to focus on it more.
We really do.
Do you want to mention, before we move on, do you want to mention Sean McConville at Clitheroe not having a great time of it?
So Clitheroe once again mired in a bit of trouble recently. Obviously, the highlight of their season thus far has been that wonderful run in the FA Trophy. But since then, their domestic form has taken quite a substantial battering, really. And I'm really hoping that my phone actually loads up the statistics so I can tell you a bit more and actually sound like I know what I'm on about. But they sort of stagnated in 10th or 11th for the majority of the season. They've now slipped down the league due to a really poor run of form. They find themselves in 15th at the minute.
Often happens after a big good cup run, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah. Without a doubt, the poorest form of anybody within the league. They are 6 points ahead of Congleton in the relegation zone, and do have 2 games in hand on most of the teams around them, and it is quite congested in that top of the bottom half, if you like, sort of from Nantwich in 11th through to Clitheroe in 15th. There's only 6 points in there. And as I say, Clitheroe have probably played less games than just about anybody in that environment. So I would hope that Sean kind of turns this around. Although his goalkeeper has just been recalled to his parent club Fleetwood Town So that means he's going to have to dive into the transfer market and see what he can manage there. But it's a rough time. It's a rough time to be a Clitheroe fan in the last few weeks. Very, very frustrating run of form.
Yeah, needs to pull the rabbit out of the hat.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to move on to
Bury Football Club. Now, I called this, as you remember.
You absolutely did.
A few weeks ago, I said to you. So the first approach was made back at the beginning of December.
Yes, it was.
And it was for Anthony Johnson and Bernard Morley,
the co-managers of Radcliffe.
The co-managers of Radcliffe, and they basically turned around and said, no, we're not going. It was always the dream job for Anthony Johnson, so nobody could really understand the rationale behind him saying no. So I suggested at the time that maybe this might be the beginning of the end of their managerial relationship, and it was proved to be correct. So the second approach was successful, and Bury have got their man.
Yeah, they have. So earlier on this week,
very popular appointment. By
it
the
was
way,
an enormously popular appointment, considering that Radcliffe are a full 2 leagues above Bury. This obviously, underlines the kind of pull that Bury have, even at the level that they are. They've managed to secure a serious coup. For the Radcliffe manager, Anthony Johnson, who has confirmed that he's taking up the managerial hot seat with immediate effect. It was initially announced that Tim Lees would be manager on an interim basis until the end of the season, and Lees has overseen a more positive run in form, including a 9-0 win over bottom club Trafford last weekend. It's been confirmed that Lees will return to his original post as assistant manager under Johnson for the remainder of the season and the forthcoming beyond. Now, Bury themselves are sitting in second place in the league, having overtaken Runcorn Linnet with a slightly good run of form, and have now closed the gap on leaders Lower Breck to just 2 points.
Yeah, because we talked about the clash of the weekend was always going to be Lower Breck versus Runcorn Linnet.
What's the big one?
Breck won the game 1-0 in what was a pretty dour fixture by all accounts. Tommy was there, said it wasn't a particularly great game, but it meant they returned to the summit. But they could have consolidated that lead a little bit better on Tuesday night, but they let a half-time lead slip and eventually lost 5-3 to Whitton Albion.
That's an amazing result for the Albion.
Huge
result for them. There's no major repercussions for the Albion. They're sitting comfortably mid-table, but it does mean that they've got some serious bragging rights there. That they beat the Breck there, and as I say, Bury, who've closed the gap on them to 2 points. Do you feel like Tim Lees might feel a little bit deflated after?
I think he will, particularly after a 9-0 win. I mean, listen, I question whether they brought an interim manager in because they knew who they wanted and they couldn't bring him until the end of the season.
Yeah.
Whether the margins have been sort of altered, the goalposts have been widened a little bit to help that happen sooner rather than later. I assume they have, because if they've gone in second time to approach the duo, then I think they've hung on a little bit longer for him. So I think it was always written in the stars that Anthony Johnson would take over Bury Football Club. Yeah, but you'd feel sorry if you were Tim Lees.
Yeah, I mean, he's been very diplomatic about it. He's wishing Anthony Johnson.
But he wasn't promised anything, was he? So.
No, and I suppose really, you if you are Tim Lees, you probably wouldn't be relying on that. You would assume that they've got a new manager in place, and this was only going to be a temporary gig anyway. This has just been accelerated by the fact that Bury have been able to get their man earlier rather than they anticipated here.
And I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if you kept Tim Lees till the end of the season, he's done really, really well. He's got them promoted top of the table. even if he does that, the minute that he doesn't start producing the goods, everybody's going to turn around and say, well, he didn't really have the skill set or the managerial prowess to keep it going. So I think he was always told it was an interim basis.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'd be. I think he'd be a little bit disappointed. He won't be. He'd be cheesed off.
Of course you would.
I think it was written in the stars, like you said.
I think it was, yeah. As for Bernard Morley, though, he retains sole managerial responsibility at Radcliffe as they seek to cement their place in the playoffs in the National League North.
Did you see what somebody said on Twitter about we'll see who the real dynamic is in that relationship now? Who's the better manager?
Who's the brains of the organisation?
Who's the brains?
Yeah. Oh, 100%, yeah. I think people said that about Clough and Taylor, you know, when they split up at
but they were never joint managers, were they?
No, they were never joint managers, but you always did wonder, you know. Peter Taylor referred Brian Clough as the goods in the shop, as the pretty thing in the shop window, and that he was the goods in the back. And I just wonder, you know, between Morley and Johnson, who's the pretty thing in the shop window and who's the goods in the back? I guess we'll find out here. So Johnson has got the job that he always wanted. He was always a local Bury lad. He supported them from a young age, wanted to play for them. He's now got the job managing them. Expectations already going to be high.
Yeah, but he joins the club at a really good time, as you mentioned. They've got a game in hand on the top club, so you know, if they win that game in hand, they could go a point ahead. So a really good time for Jono to join the football club, and if he wins the league at the end of the season, then he's going to be a god, isn't he?
No, he just did his job. That's his job.
I think he's of god proportions at Bury. I think he was always going to be the popular
choice, 100%.
The popular choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes you wonder, before they brought the other fella in, you know, the convicted
Michael Jolly, whether
Jono and Morley were in contention back then. I don't know, because we did talk about that, didn't we?
We did, yeah. I would have said yes. I would have said he was always on their radar. Anyway, we're going to move on to controversial corner now.
If that wasn't controversial enough as it was, violence erupted at Droylsden's game against Bilston last Saturday. Droylsden had beaten Bilston 2-0 in the fifth round of the FA Vase when a brawl started off the pitch and then spilled onto it.
Yeah, so the footage that we've seen comes in two parts. One is a supporter majority pile-on with various punches being thrown, which is then joined by one of the Bilston players who goes in and starts throwing fists. The other bit of footage there is a member of the Droylsden management team taking evasive action from a group of supporters, only to turn around.
Good right-hook, to be fair.
It's only to turn around and lamp on with a right hook that Anthony Joshua would have been proud of, which sent a spring.
The only thing I'd say there is the fella sprung up very, very quickly
and pulled his trousers up at the same time. But by that point, the whoever the staff member was, he managed to get himself off the pitch. We've since had confirmation from Droylsden and Bilston that they are cooperating with an investigation by both the police and the FA, but no further information is being provided at this time.
Looking at the footage there, it looked as though a Bilston substitute was piling in on the assistant manager as well.
Right. I mean, I'm not going to be able to verify that for you, but I'll take your word for it. So, what do we make of this?
We're seeing violence spilling out and creeping back into the game on a bigger basis, on an alarming basis. Are we, or are we in fact just seeing more because of social media's catching this? If this event is not on social media, does it have the gravitas? Does it? Does this go any further, or did they keep it in house? Both clubs seem to be.
They want to keep it in.
they seem to be working together on this one. They don't seem to be
I think
working
they're
apart.
both quite united in condemnation of what happened. I just think that one thing that you can't ignore is that representatives from both teams, playing staff, coaching staff, were involved in this, and both were seen to be getting violent in much the same way that we saw with Avro and Kidsgrove.
There was a woman involved in this as well, wasn't there? I believe one of the players' mothers.
Oh, wow, okay. I saw that there was a woman involved in that one. I didn't know who she was at the time.
If the story's to be believed, then a comment was made, a derogatory comment was made towards her, and that might have indeed set it off. But there's nothing to substantiate that other than hearsay at the moment. Other than
hearsay and gossip, really.
It's not nice to watch.
It's not nice to watch, and for all the typical bravado that comes with seeing footage like this, it's not something that you want to see in football matches at all.
I'd like to see it kept more in house. If the footage, you can't help escape the footage. If a supporter's put that up, you've got nothing to. You can't keep it as in house as you'd like to.
No.
If it's spilled over into social media, you're knackered.
Yeah.
I don't think it's always a good thing, and I think sometimes supporters maybe hold back reports to the football club before they send it viral. I think we're just all looking for hits on our social media, aren't we?
I think that's what. I think that's a part of it. Obviously, the fact that neither of the clubs actually put it up, and it was actually a fan ignited.
Must have been two fans, because there's two sets of footage, isn't there?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, there was a lot of fans and probably more footage than what we think. I just think in the realm of social media that we are in this day and age, I think you've got to be even more careful about how you handle things, and you will never be able to handle anything in-house once it's put on social media, as you say. But do you want it to get that far? That's ludicrous.
Well, you don't want it to spill over into something worse, do you?
Well, no, you don't want to spill into something.
Somebody actually getting hurt.
Well, imagine what happened if that fan who got lamped didn't get up. We talk an awful. We see so much in the news about one hit changing people's lives. Through traumatic brain injuries and what have you. Imagine
hitting a curb, a brick.
Oh God, yeah, exactly.
When they fall.
And what if it lands awkwardly
life
lands on
changing.
Exactly.
Injuries.
Exactly. It's awful.
Leading to death, possibly, and we don't want to see that on a football pitch either, do we?
Well, no, exactly.
So we've got to come down on them like a ton of bricks.
I think so.
We've got to investigate it thoroughly. It's got to be investigated thoroughly, and something has got to happen as a repercussion.
Yeah, I think there's evidence of assault there on public order on both of the footages that you see, and I think in order to kind of stop the buck there, both Droylsden and Bilston do have to be seen to be making an example of their representatives that were wearing their badges to be, they've got to be shown to be made an example of. They really do.
I don't want to dismiss it as handbags, because that would be the wrong thing to do. But I honestly believe if this isn't recorded, then it is very much an episode of handbags. It's not amounted to a great deal of trouble in the end.
I mean, some supporters got assaulted. Yeah, you kind of wonder.
Yeah, but he's ran towards. He's attempted the kung fu style kick on the manager as well, hasn't he? The assistant manager.
I don't know. I don't think that was recorded on the footage, was it?
I don't know, but listen, he's chasing the assistant manager. The assistant manager's running away from it.
He is, yeah.
He wants to get away from it, which is fair dues, and then he's got to protect himself.
Yeah, well, of course.
We've not seen the full.
No, of course we don't.
The narrative changes because you don't see the full content, and that's the trouble with recording things through social media. There's always a beginning, a middle, and an after, and we don't see the full story unfolding. But like I say, if it's not recorded on social media, it probably gets kept quiet.
Yeah, well, quieter than what it has done.
Deal with it internally. Anyway, listen, the FA Vase draw has taken place, and which means now Droylsden at home to Cockfosters in the quarter-final draw. Cockfosters,
That's what they say. That's not just me being childish. That's what they say.
Brilliant. Cockfosters, it sounds like a drink, doesn't it?
It really does. It does sound like some
Who
kind
are Cockfosters, by the way? Is that a town?
I think it is. I'm sure it's a town in Yorkshire somewhere. I think it's over sort of my neck of the woods, if you like. Let's have a look.
But I must admit, up until this weekend, it is a place. Welcome to Cockfosters. It's in Enfield.
Right.
Chipping Barnet.
It's a suburb of North London, so it's absolutely nowhere near me whatsoever, so my geography's shite. Anyway, Cockfosters, where do they... where are they in the league?
They play at the Cockfosters Sports Ground.
Oh, for crying out loud.
They're known as the Saracens, I think.
I think their nickname is the Fosters.
Is it?
Sure, yeah. They play in the Spartans.
It's not the Cocks.
No, they play in the Spartan South Midlands League, which I think the Spartan South Midlands. Jesus, that's a bit of a stretch, that isn't it? But anyway, that's levels 9 to 11 on the pyramid, which I think is sort of relatively equivalent to.
Yeah, they're currently third in the Spartan South Midlands League.
Whereas obviously Droylsden.
The Spartan. Yeah, Spartan.
Yeah,
South Midlands.
Yes.
Ground Cockfosters.
So it's very.
So the nickname is the Fosters. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's very much a matchup of two teams who are very, very close in their respective regions. So this has a bit of a classic written all over it. I'd say Droylsden have the advantage because they're at home, and Cockfosters have to amble on up there from the from their North London suburb to get to East Manchester. Yeah,
so listen, the full quarter-final draw is Punjab United from Gravesend versus Downton.
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey, yeah.
Cool.
Haywards Heath Town or AFC Stoneham versus Coventry United. And of course, the other game that was postponed on Saturday was the one between West Didsbury and Chorlton versus Winsford United. They have been drawn away to Hallen or Gornal Athletic. So we're waiting on the result of that. Both games are getting replayed on Saturday.
Yes, they are.
So best of luck to West Didsbury. And of course, best of luck to...
Or Winsford.
Yeah, Winsford. But
the thing is, I know West Didsbury are still in the Northwest Counties, but we've interviewed the Winsford United management team, so we feel like a bit of a natural affiliation to them, just because they were laterally moved.
Well, listen, we'll back them if they...
We'll back either of them. So at the minute we're being Switzerland on West Didsbury and Chorlton or Winsford. We just hope that they get as far as they can. So they're either one of them will make the quarters, and it's possible one of them could make the semis. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. But obviously, best of luck to both of them.
Moving on to Hednesford Town. Thomas Frank was sacked as Spurs manager. I know totally irrelevant to what I'm talking about, but conceivably justified. Still, the decision to part company with their first team manager, Gavin Hurren, and assistant manager, Lee Vaughan, with immediate effect. Arguably a bad decision.
On the face of it, yes. So I got into a discussion with Hednesford Town fans over this one to try and get their perspective on this. And what they're saying is there's an awful lot of money what's been ploughed into Hednesford's budget for reinvestment. And Hurren and Vaughan, although that they've used that money to make good signings, it's not really been reflected in how the team have been playing and how the results have panned out. And actually, they've not really been consistent with their results since November. So there's always more pressure on a manager to come in and get better results when there's been significant financial backing. We know this, up and down the leagues. And I think the decision to part company with them is justified in that regard. However, I think the ire from the fans is that they have done this with just a handful of days until their top of the table clash with Hebburn, with whom they are level on points with at the top. And I think they would have rather seen whoever their new manager is come in after that clash, because it now means that the new manager has to come in, introduce himself to the players, work out his system, work out how he's going to play, who he's going to utilise, and do that.
But with very little managerial experience.
Well, this is the other part of it. Who have they appointed, Frank?
Kelvin Davis, the former Southampton goalkeeper.
Yeah, and how much experience does he have?
I think he spent one season at a non-league football club.
Excellent. So he's clearly cut out for the job.
It's a big job, isn't it?
It's an enormous job.
Hensford, have you actually ever been down there? It's a fantastic stadium.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a really good stadium.
So they're actually, financially speaking, a very well-backed club. So they're in the Northern Premier League Premier at the minute. They are second in the table. Had a stunning promotion season last season, only just missed out on top spot from Widnes, and have carried on that run in the Premier Division and are now in serious contention to be promoted into the National League. So
what are the supporters saying? The supporters are saying that based on the budget that they've been he was provided with, they've not done as well as they expected.
Correct.
So this is very, very much similar to the argument that Clitheroe had when they dispensed with Dave Dempsey a few years back.
Okay.
I think he was in the top 5 at the time, and they got rid of him early doors as well.
Because with the budget that he was given, he wasn't doing what they...
Yeah, they felt as though they should be, walking away with the league.
I see. So that says a lot about the kind of investment that's being pumped into a football club, and whether that actually you're just raising the bar but setting up your own management team to fail at that point. So yeah, the general consensus of opinion is that Hurren and Vaughan were justified in keeping their job until after the Hebburn game, but after that they were probably on borrowed time. And a change was probably needed in order to kind of solidify Hensford Town's promotion push, which is still very much in the making. It's not as though they've slipped away from anywhere. They're second in the table and still, really within a decent shout of getting into the National Leagues. Okay, and they've looked to Kelvin Davis in order to do this. A former professional with very little in the way of managerial experience. Obviously was a goalkeeper for Southampton in the heyday of his career. But in terms of in terms of managerial abilities, he's managed Eastleigh for one season. Pardon me. And that was
on the south coast.
On the south coast, yeah. So he had a brief period as the caretaker manager of Southampton back in 2018. He was with Eastleigh following the conclusion of the 2023-24 season when he was appointed in February 2024. Davis signed a new 3-year contract, but in September 2025 they parted ways. And now he's come in as the manager of Hensford Town to oversee the remainder of their promotion push. He's also bringing in former professional footballer Danny Butterfield as his assistant manager. Danny Butterfield, who as a right back famously scored a hat-trick for Crystal Palace on the basis that he was put up front because the manager at the time dreamed that Danny Butterfield was going to score a hat-trick, and then it materialised into real life. So Butterfield actually is a bit more of a pull in that regard. So he was assistant manager of Southampton's under-18 team until between 2016 and 2018. First team coach at MK Dons, where he achieved promotion. He was then part of the backroom staff at Macclesfield Town under Mark Kennedy. This was before they were relegated from the Football League. But then since 2021, he's sort of been in and out a bit. So he was at Southampton as the loans manager for the youth academy. He worked at Lincoln City as assistant head coach. Then he was at Eastleigh as an assistant manager, again under Davis. And now they've reunited again to take over at Hensford.
So what do you make of the chairman, Craig Wilt, and his statement? He's obviously said that the results from November onwards haven't reflected the level of backing provided.
Yeah.
But in terms of making an appointment like Kelvin Davis, what can he bring to the table that Gavin didn't?
Kelvin Davis is a bit more of a name, and Danny Butterfield certainly.
Well, that's it, isn't it? That's just a name.
It is, yeah, exactly, and it's much the same way as Nicky Hunt over at Daisy Hill. Not really any managerial experience, but he is a name in himself, and apparently a name gives you some level of pull at this level, despite, as a fan, wanting your team to succeed and results mattering. It just seems like they've appointed...
So what are they saying? Are they saying that Gavin hasn't recruited well enough? And as such, the results have reflected that. Are they saying that Kelvin Davis now, who's got no experience really up this end of the country, managing, where is he going to get his players from?
I have absolutely no... Well, Danny Butterfield...
Hensford are not they're not a major club, and I don't know what kind of finances they've got there, and I don't know whether most of their recruitment has been from the Football League. That would be the only experience that Kelvin Davis would bring, is his knowledge of footballers at a much higher level. But then you've got the same problem, haven't you? If you bring somebody that doesn't know, doesn't play non-league football, they have to adjust to non-league football. So it's great bringing players down, but then you've got to make sure that the recruitment works, and if it doesn't, you're back to the same situation again, and then Craig, the chairman, has made a mistake, and I just think it's a little bit like, I don't know, employing Pascal Chimbonda.
Employing him for his name. Yeah. I think it's quite a risky appointment. I don't know what Kelvin Davis and Danny Butterfield are going to be able to bring beyond their name. Obviously, they had a bit of a run at Eastleigh, and Butterfield's had a bit more, in terms of assistant manager here and there, as I say, at Southampton and at MK Dons. But this is probably their next step, their step back into kind of the football management world. I don't know whether Gwilt was swayed by Davis' interview, about what he could do with the team, what he could bring. I've no idea whatsoever. But it's a gamble. It is. And I think regardless of how this season plays out for Hensford, it'll be Gwilt who will either be the hero or the villain, depending on what happens.
Yeah, we don't know a great deal about Craig Gwilt, do we? Other than that he was, I don't know, he's involved with Face Punch Studios, which is a big, I don't know, is it on online gaming?
I've got no idea.
Industry, video games.
I will take your word for it.
So I don't know whether he's got a relationship with Kelvin Davis or he knows him, but he seems to know more about I don't know, online games.
You absolutely no idea.
Listen, moving on anyway. Chester. Yeah. So Chester fan Lee Newman has received a 3-year ban following an incident in which he entered the away changing rooms at Worksop Town to hurl abuse at his own players and management team after Chester lost 2-1. Now, obviously, the man has overstepped the mark at some considerable margin. Can we accept any level of abuse from custodians, sort of aimed at custodians, players, or the management team? Is any level of abuse acceptable?
Yeah, I think you can say yeah. So I think that obviously there's a line to be drawn at abuse, and we've had this discussion so many times before. I think that there is a level of abuse that can be tolerated, because as custodians of any kind of football club, you naturally have an automatic expectation from the fans of the football club that you're going to provide the best interests for the sake of the football club and its prosperity. And I think you can probably accept words of anger.
Yeah.
at the end of the game or something like that. We've had that happen to us on both pitch side and on social media, and I think it's kind of water off a duck's back in this day and age. I think that when you start entering changing rooms, hurling abuse at staff and management team, that is outrageous.
That's a huge threat then.
It is. That's a threat to safety. That is a threat to safety, isn't it?
It's like somebody walking into this house now, into the podcast studio and hurling abuse at us right now.
Because they don't agree with us.
That would be quite threatening.
That would be very much threatening, and I would have no problems at all in defending myself with anything that would be considered quite painful.
You'd have to defend me as well, because I've got a glass back. But listen, it made me think about the story, and it had Andy Barlow being on the show today, could have discussed it more, but back in, a while back now, his second term at Radcliffe Borough as a player, he got sent off, and as he was walking off the pitch, he was getting abuse hurled at him from the sidelines, and he gave back as much as he got, and probably used a little bit more sort of cursory language than was possibly acceptable. And then he found out the day after, or that night, that the club had turned around and said, we don't want you at the football club any longer.
Whoa!
Which he couldn't quite understand until he found out that the people that were hurling the abuse at him were the chairman of the committee.
Oh my God.
Or directors.
Yeah. I think if you are the directors and the committee in that regard, you've got to be prepared for some kind of return on your abuse. If you're not seeing it come back at you, then you're eventually sort of hurling abuse at a player who's just kind of taking it lying down. Never ever something Andy Barlow is going to tolerate. But to then,
I think he's become more tolerant since he become a manager.
I think he's just getting older, isn't he? Getting a bit more mature.
No, I think what he'll say, and listen, he'll mention it on next week's show, is that you have to create time to think when you're a manager, whereas you're an assistant, you go gung ho. Yeah,
you do go a little bit gung ho, and as a player, you absolutely go gung ho because you're sort of younger and probably not as attuned to what's going on around it. But what I'm saying is that if you are the committee and you're hurling abuse at players, you should expect to receive it back. Okay, but then to turn around and to say you're welcome at this club anymore is such a cowardly move. It's so. I'm sure
there's more content to that.
There probably is
particular story.
There might be more.
That's Andy Barlow's version. I'd love to know what the other side's version of it is.
Well, if he went and let down the tyres of the entire...
Well, listen, somebody I'd like to get on the show was his manager at the time. I think it was Kevin Glendon.
Okay.
Kevin Glendon sat where you are.
Right.
He's part of the ESPFA, so...
Oh, right.
He's been in and I've had conversations...
Nice, okay.
...with him. But I'd love to get him on the show because he spent, countless years at Radcliffe.
Yeah.
Really, really long time at Radcliffe.
Yeah.
Great manager, great person to speak to as well. But somebody we should consider bringing on the show. But
anyway,
listen, so no abuse of that level going into a changing room is acceptable.
It's also worth pointing out that Lee Newman is in his 40s.
Yeah.
What on earth are you doing wandering into changing rooms and hurling abuse at your own players and management? Grow up.
I think the aftermath of that could have been far worse because he went out and it spilled out outside the changing rooms as well. And
I'm not surprised.
Women, children, and such like. So it could have spilled over and it could have been even worse.
Exactly.
Thankfully, it wasn't. But listen, we're going to finish off the controversial corner with a subtle hint. There's been a subtle hint. You brought the story up that AFC Liverpool.
Falling on hard times.
Yeah,
absolutely. So there has been a lot of noise made from the volunteers of AFC Liverpool encouraging more fans to get involved with the football club. So AFC Liverpool were formed in 2008. Against the ownership of Liverpool Football Club, which were George Gillett and Tom Hicks. They
formed... Better known as the Duke Brothers from Trading Places.
If you say so. But anyway, AFC Liverpool were formed off the back of the dislike and ostracisation from Liverpool Football Club for their own fans, the fans of whom believed that they were being forced out and overpriced, priced out of watching Liverpool Football Club. So they formed AFC Liverpool, and they've had, again, a nomadic existence, not been able to find their own ground. They currently share with Bootle at the... is it the Berry Street Garage?
Yeah, the Berry Street Garage.
There we go. Okay. And they found it quite difficult, particularly now, to sustain that kind of nomadic existence. So the original premise was based on 1,000 members getting involved and creating AFC Liverpool. Now they're getting gates underneath 100. I think they had around about 81 turn out to see their game against Atherton LR. Now, admittedly, that was a Tuesday night when you're not really... 118, pardon me. So just a little over 100, but not really enough to either sustain a nomadic existence, which we know firsthand.
You regularly get gates over 100, but it's dipped under on occasions, and that is the big worry. A little bit like City of Liverpool.
Yes.
Their gates dropping under 100 now, particularly in midweek.
Just about dropping under 50.
So it's having a huge financial impact on them.
Yeah, it does. They're also starved of volunteers as well. They're constantly asking for volunteers to come in and take on some level of responsibility for running the football club.
We can sympathise to a degree because we're living a nomadic lifestyle ourselves.
We certainly are.
Right now. But we have a history that goes back 144 years as opposed to 18 years with AFC Liverpool.
Yep.
In terms of sympathy for a football club that started its journey as a nomadic football club, was it always an accident waiting to happen? Because we're seeing similarities between them and City of Liverpool, both struggling. We're struggling. We're living off the fumes of history. We are existing because of our legacy and the fact that there's still people within Skelmersdale and West Lancashire area that still want to support Skelm either financially or support them through raffles,
other means,
race nights, fundraising, whatever. We've been extremely fortunate.
Yeah.
I wonder whether there's the same level of compassion for a football club that didn't really have the roots of their own.
We have a town of 40,000 people that we could call our fans if they felt like they wanted to. AFC Liverpool have to share a city with City of Liverpool, South Liverpool, and then you look at the teams above and below, including Bootle, Lower Prescott Cables, AFC Knowsley, Southport. All of these teams that are in and around the Liverpool as a city. Marine, Little and Remica, McGull. Yeah.
You should keep going.
You could keep going
There's a plethora of teams there.
Exactly.
Now, I've always said to you that my opinion on these clubs that started up was that if you wanted to you should have got involved with a non-league football club that was already existing. The likes of Prescott Cables and South Liverpool and teams that were already established, Marine, would have welcomed with open arms support from disenfranchised Liverpool supporters. They really would have done, and
it's not so easy to just switch support like that from a team that you did love to another team. I think you've got to create a bit of a labour of love in order to put your support into it.
But you have to create, because you know yourself, in the short period of time that you've been involved with Skem United Football Club, it hurts to see them lose. So you know how quick that love can grow for a football club that you've not really, 18 months, is it?
It's been 18 months now.
18 months. It's a very, very short period of time. But I'll ask you the question: Does it hurt as much to see Skem lose as it does Manchester United?
It hurts more, and I'll tell you why. I know firsthand that we are literally doing everything we possibly can to make sure that Skem is successful. We're literally, before our 9 o'clock start times at the office, after our 5 o'clock finish times, we're waking up in the middle of the night thinking about it. We're abandoning time with our families in order to get down to games. All of these kind of things are so much of our focus is actually honed in the prosperity of this club for which we are a custodian. Whereas at Manchester United, I just get angry because they're just paid millions
to
not
destroy
playing
themselves.
Well. And you look at how the football club is being run at the minute, a scattergun approach to transfers, redundancies en masse for people who need these jobs, ostracising themselves from certain minority communities, charging fans a fortune for season tickets and then reseating them, in terms of attracting more day trippers. Stuff like that just angers me. Whereas with Skem, it actually just saddens me. It actually hurts.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
It goes back to what I'm saying before. People that are disenfranchised from the professional game can soon find an allegiance and a love for a football club. And like I said, there's a plethora of non-league football clubs in Liverpool that would have killed for extra support.
Yeah.
So I'm not... Now that they're established football clubs, I sympathise for them because I want to see them continue to exist. But would I be more upset to see a Marine or a Prescott Cables go out of business than I would AFC Liverpool or City of Liverpool? Yeah. Of course I would. But I feel for the supporters, I feel for the people that put their time and effort into this, into these two football clubs. And I just hope that... I hope things that could change, but I can't see it. And how are they going to establish roots? Both teams are struggling to find. AFC Liverpool have moved from Marine to Bootle. We've moved from Bearscough to Marine. To Marine. City of Liverpool have moved to Bearscough
from. Where were they playing last season?
Widnes,
yeah, of course they were.
So, Widnes and then Vauxhall for a short period of time as well. So, I'm just saying with this merry-go-round and this nomadic existence, I can't see a future long-term for these teams unless something changes. And nobody, because we know how difficult it is to find a piece of land in Skem to build a simple stadium that will accommodate us. Even at this level now is really, really difficult to do. We're working on it. We're working extremely hard on it. But if you look at the Bramley Moor dock situation and how long that took, how long the approval for Centenary Stand and the improvements around Anfield took to bring them up to the capacity that they are now, they took absolute donkey's years. So if it takes big clubs like them that long, as with Arsenal and the Emirates Stadium, they
moved in 2006.
But the time from the conception of the idea to move,
that was about 2001.
It took donkey's years to get established. So AFC Liverpool and City of Liverpool can't expect, as we can't as Skem United Football Club, can't be expected a bigger, quicker
journey. No,
we can't expect it.
And in the meantime, how on earth do you float in this day and age of diluted football, particularly in a city like Liverpool? I think that both teams are fighting a bit more of a losing battle than what their performances on the pitch would suggest.
Be a lot more, though, isn't it?
I think that there could be more.
There's going to be more casualties, and we just hope that we're not one of them. But you look at Litherland, Remaker as well. I mean, could they be a casualty if they drop from the Premier Division now? Do they free fall back into the down to as far as where we are, Liverpool?
I don't know. You would hope not. But at the same time, like they're still. Their gates haven't never been very high anyway.
No.
And the kind of football that they're playing, whilst on a bit of a revival at the minute through Steve Scott, in the long term, hasn't really attracted any ambition.
No, it's a horrible place to go and watch football.
Mm-hmm.
And no disrespect to the people that run the football club at all. It's got a running track around it. It's dark and miserable. Tuesday nights there, the floodlights... you get a better view with your torch on. You know what I mean? I know, but it's things like that, and that's the struggle. And that's not me being negative towards them, but these facilities are struggling.
Yeah.
And the more you push them to progress from step 7, the quality of the football clubs that we're getting is going to diminish.
Yeah, it is.
Because a lot of these clubs now, South Liverpool's and MSB Walton's, are playing on community hubs.
Yeah, they are.
But we're probably going to end up in a similar situation ourselves, although, we hope that the planning is a little bit kinder
to us.
To us, but...
We've got our own town to do it in. Liverpool have got to share an entire city with so many other clubs, and there's not that many... there are community hubs, but a lot of them already have a vested football interest in them anyway. So how on earth are you going to try and navigate a shared agreement there? It's just... plausibility is just so low at the minute.
Yeah. Listen, the only thing you can say in this situation is that if there's football supporters out there, people that love football but don't actually go and watch it, then go to your nearest and dearest team, your closest team, and start supporting them, because the level of football can be quite exciting.
It's always exciting. It's not necessarily Premier League football, but it's just exciting to watch football.
Yeah, from our perspective, we look at defeats and we think football's crap. But if we're winning, football's fantastic.
It's the best thing in the world.
So for the teams that are winning, football's fantastic. But if you can get along and watch AFC Liverpool and support them, then do that rather than sit in your armchair doing nothing
and complaining and doing your Sky Sports subscription. Your money's much better served off a team like AFC Liverpool. And a big shout out to Mikey Smith, who is the leading voice of the prosperity and survival of AFC Liverpool. We really, really hope that positive change comes your way, Mikey.
Yeah, we need to get somebody on from
Get him on the show.
Liverpool.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Radio.
Final part of the show, predictions, analysis, expert opinions.
Comment.
We're looking at the fixtures, aren't we? Because there's no... Skem didn't play, as we know.
Last weekend,
and
we're not
no
playing
football again this weekend. So we're into our 2 weeks, 2 week recess. It will be 3 weeks before we play our next game. So listen, we're going to look at the fixtures. Starting with the Manchester Premier Club, which is Thursday the 12th of February, which is tonight. We do we do predict on that one, don't we? So it's been postponed, so we don't need to predict on that one. Anyway, listen, the big game tomorrow night is City of Liverpool versus Abbey Hay.
That is an enormous game.
It is the bottom of the table fixture.
Yeah, it is, and it could have enormous ramifications for both of these clubs, whichever which way this one comes out. If Abbey Hay win, they move 6 points clear of City of Liverpool, and give themselves a huge boost at escaping the drop zone. If City of Liverpool win, they draw level with Abbey Hay by virtue only of goal difference, unless City of Liverpool can overturn a 44 goal disadvantage.
Yeah,
it's unlikely.
We've seen improvements.
In both clubs.
In both clubs over the last few weeks. Albeit. City of Liverpool is sort of reducing the margins of defeat a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I think City of Liverpool might just want to sneak this one.
For me, I think that's certainly something to bear in mind. For Abbey Hay, I think if they draw here, that will certainly favour Abbey Hay a lot more. I am going to say a draw.
Yeah, okay, I'll go City and Liverpool. So Saturday, as we mentioned earlier on in the show, is the fifth round FA Vase game, which should have been played last week. West Didsbury and Chiltern versus Winsford United.
Yeah,
I'm still going for West Didsbury and Chiltern.
I'm still going for Winsford United.
Okay, fair enough. The Macron quarterfinals, Macron Cup quarterfinals. AFC Liverpool versus Exton Villa.
AFC Liverpool for me.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. Bearscough versus managerless Cheadle Town. I'm going for Bearscough. Nelson versus Telford Town.
Nelson.
Yeah, well,
assuming it goes ahead.
Yeah.
So can I predict a postponement? Is that allowed?
Yeah, you probably could based on the weather, but then you don't know whether. I mean, we assume now Telford have made enough appointments now to field a full team. But listen, if the game should go ahead, I'm going to go for Nelson. But you're probably right; it'll probably get postponed.
Yes.
Premier Division, Saturday the 14th of February. Listen, it's the love weekend, as we know. It's Valentine's Day. The massacre at Barnoldswick Town versus FC Isle of Man. Which way are we going there?
I'm going FC Isle of Man. I think, Barnoldswick, just too many negative results this weekend, disappointing ones, and I think FC Isle of Man come in with way more confidence on that one. So yeah, FC Isle of Man for me.
Chatterton versus Litherland.
Do you know what? I really appreciate what Steve Scott has done at Remy, and I really hope they make the greatest escape. I don't think it's going to start at Chatterton, though. No. Home win for me.
Yeah, home win for... It's Carl Taylor, isn't it? The manager of the joint manager.
Yes, it is the joint manager.
He's been on the show as well.
He has been on the
Chatterton,
show.
I'm going for Chatterton.
Okay.
Earlham versus Stockport Town, I'm going for Earlham. Longridge Town versus Prestwich Hayes. An interesting one here.
12th versus 13th, just a point separating the pair of them. It's probably as tight a game as what you could imagine, really. The goals scored is substantial, but the goals conceded a little bit less so.
Got a draw written all over it.
It kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I'm going for the draw. Mm-hmm. Pilkington versus Charnock Richard.
Charnock Richard.
Withenshaw versus Everton Alarm. Now this is a really interesting fixture.
It is,
because this will show you how far Davy Jones has come in that period where they sort of tilted a little bit, listed. Like I say, they're the form team in the league now. Yeah. 6 consecutive wins in the form table. 4
of those came against the same 2 opposition teams, though, but one of them was Padiham.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, you've got to kind of establish Atherton. You can't really ignore Atherton LR's potential to be up there and making menaces of themselves in the playoffs. Yeah. What I will say, though, is that Withenshaw just appear to be a bit of a head and shoulders above everybody else. So I don't want this to come off as negative for ALR, because we love ALR to bits. They probably are our second team for the most. So I am going to say Withenshaw, but I think the manner of how this result plays out will give us an awful lot of indication, as you say, about how far Davy Jones has come. I don't think it'll be a 6-1er. I think it'll be more 2 or 3.
Yeah, well, we talked about their defensive prowess, didn't we?
We certainly did, yes.
I mean, we look at Withenshaw, they've conceded 34 goals, and
LR have conceded 36.
Yeah, so there's not a great deal of difference there. The big difference, of course, is the 85 goals that they've scored. And on that basis alone, I see Withenshaw winning that game, but not by a great margin, like you just said. Yeah. So, First Division North, Bacon Borough versus Ashton Athletic.
At the Brian Boys Vestview Stadium.
Yeah, you love saying that, don't you?
I do.
It sounds like a boy band, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah, Brian Boys Westview.
So I'm going for Bacon on that one.
I also am going to go for Bacon there.
Darwin versus Daisy Hill. Now, under normal circumstances, I would have said Darwin, but Daisy Hill are doing particularly well at the moment, and I'm going to go for a draw.
I'm going to say a home win, because Darwin beat Thornton Cleveland's 7-3 at the weekend. Yeah. So that seems like a home win for me.
Yeah. Garstang versus AFC Blackpool. Go for AFC Blackpool.
Draw for me. I just think Garstang they've been on a bit of a run recently. You know, they picked up another point at the weekend. Liam Clegg is on a serious run of good goal scoring form, whereas AFC Blackpool have actually kind of dropped off quite substantially at this point. You know, at one point they were sort of 5th or 6th. They're now down in 14th. So yeah, that's the reason why I think Garstang could get something out of this.
Now this is an interesting fixture here. McGull versus Holker Old Boys, and I say this because Holker Old Boys have got the meanest, tightest defence in the division. Yet they're in the 11th place. They've only conceded 27 goals.
They have, and that is no. Nelson have conceded 25, but have played 3 games less. But I see what you mean. But anyway, now Holker Old Boys' defence is one to be admired. Goal scoring wise, they've scored 37, which is the second lowest in that top half of the table. And McGull, by contrast, scored 48, but conceded 38. I am going to say a draw.
Well, you know what, I am, by a process of elimination there, they sort of cancel each other out, don't they, in terms of defence and prowess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be a draw.
Yeah.
I'm probably a 2-2 draw at that.
Yeah, all right.
Main Road versus Cone.
Draw.
I'm going for... Yeah, I know what you're thinking. I'm going for Cone.
Alrighty.
MSB Walton versus Fulwood
It's
Amateurs.
the battle of the promoted teams here, and actually the battle of the superior strikers here. So Daniel Venter of MSB Walton versus Spencer Lucas of Fulwood Amateurs. It really is a case of which superior striker is going to come out on top. Now MSB Walton at the top of the table, whereas Fulwood Amateurs in 9th, although ironically enough the Amateurs could draw level on points with MSB Walton if they win their 2 games in hand. I'm going to say...
Both teams concede a lot of goals, don't they? Almost 1.8 goals per game.
40 to 39 goals scored, 49 to 44. You'd be minded to say draw, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah, okay, on that basis I'll change my prediction and I'll go for a draw.
Alright.
Squires versus Ashton Town. I think Squires.
I'm saying Ashton Town here. I just want them to pull themselves out of this funk that they've got going on at the minute, and I think they're under a bit more pressure to do so.
The general sort of malaise has descended upon
it kind of has.
the football club at the moment for many reasons, and sometimes it's an upsetting narrative. But listen, we wish Ashton the best of success, but I just think Squiresgate will just steal that one.
All right.
Steeton versus Droylsden.
I'm
going for Droylsden. First Division South, Allscott Heath versus Runcorn Town. Alsager Town versus
the Casuals.
The Casuals, Wolverhampton.
15th versus 16th. You'd be minded to say Wolverhampton Casuals just based on how little games they've played and only a point difference.
And they concede less goals, don't they? So I'm going for Wolverhampton Casuals.
As am I.
Asheville versus Barnton. Barnton probably one of the worst sort of records in the league, sort of form-wise. Right at this moment in time. Asheville doing marginally better. I'm going for Asheville.
I'm also going to go for Asheville. Now, this is going to be a really good one. So this is Cheadle Heath Nomads against Sandbach United. And without us really realising it, Sandbach United have climbed into the playoff places at the expense of Stafford after a really decent run of form. And they were in the playoffs last season, and it feels like they are back firing on all cylinders in much the same way that saw them get into the playoffs last season. So for me, that is a win for Sandbach United.
Yeah, I'm going for Sandbach. Eccleshall versus New Mills. I'm going for Eccleshall. Market Drayton Town versus Camberley.
NDT, who had an excellent win over New Mills at the weekend. So I'd be inclined to say Market Drayton Town again.
I'm going for the draw. Shawbury United versus Foley Mere. I think Shawbury United are going to win this one.
I am going to say a draw here.
Right. Stafford Town versus Stockport Georgians.
Stockport Georgians.
Stockport Georgians, yes.
Just a ludicrous run of form that they're on, really.
Isn't it?
Anyway.
So back to the Premier Division on Tuesday, the 17th. Barnsley versus Everton and Arsenal. City and Liverpool versus Prestwich Hayes. FC St Helens versus Exton. I'm going for FC St Helens.
Same.
Longridge versus Chadderton. Going for Chadderton. Padiham versus Charnock Richard. I'm going for Charnock Richard. Ramsbottom versus Pilks. I'm going for Ramsbottom. Wythenshawe versus Bearscough. Listen, if it stays 11v11, I think it'll be a lot tighter.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to go for a draw.
I'm actually going to join you on that one and say a draw as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. First Division North, Ashton Athletic versus Thornton Cleveleys.
Still
tails up a little bit.
I still think Thornton Cleveleys are going to win this one.
Yeah, go for Thornton Cleveleys. Colne versus Holker Old Boys. I'm going for Holker Old Boys.
Yeah, I'll join you in that one.
Fulwood Amateurs versus Main Road.
Fulwood Amateurs.
Yeah, just about. First Division South, Foley Mere versus Ashville. I'm going for Ashville as well. New Mills, Runcorn Town. Camelids versus Wolverhampton Casuals.
Draw.
Yeah. I'm going for Camelid. Right. Anyway, the Derbyshire Senior Cup semi-finals, Glossop North End versus Mickleover. I'm going for Glossop North End.
I will also go for Glossop North End.
Premier Division on Wednesday, West Didsbury and Chorlton versus South Liverpool. West Didsbury. First Division North, AFC Blackpool versus Droylsden. Going for Droylsden. Nelson versus Bakeup. Nelson.
Postponed. Sorry.
Yeah, probably. But listen, that'll be a tighter game.
That should be a tight. Yeah, exactly. I think, Bakeup are they're on a really good run at the minute. They're in third, again, without us really noticing it. Oliver Hodgson, again, a man really on form. So, I think that'll be tighter than what we imagine. But Nelson to win. Yeah. Division 1 South, Telford versus Old Scotty. Going for Telford. Telford. Eccleshaw versus Stockport Georgians. Whoa! Going for Eccleshaw on that one still. I'm going to go for a draw. Yeah. Listen, we don't need to go on the last two there because I've included them in there and they shouldn't be there. Whoops. So that concludes our predictions for the weekend. The weekend and the week ahead. Yes, indeed. Good luck exciting to all fixtures. Local and preferred teams. Yeah, with us not being in action, we should go and see one in the middle of the week or something. Yeah. We could take our eyes off of Sken for just a minute. Yeah. Well, I've got to that stage now where I watch. I enjoy watching football because we're not involved. Yeah. It's nice to watch football and not be heartbroken about it. You enjoy it for its purity, really, then, don't you? Because you look at a game from a neutral point of view, and you enjoy the natural talent that's on show. You either enjoy it or endure it if it's a really, really bad game, and we do have a lot of bad games. But by and large, most football games at this level are really, really competitive. I might possibly go to a game on Saturday in the Liverpool County Premier League. All right. If there's any on. Do some homework. Yeah. Yeah, I might do. And then I might not. But I don't. It's bloody Valentine's Day, so I've got too much booked. Yeah, you're all loved up. Yeah. 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 When I spoke to... Because originally we were trying to get a friendly for Saturday. Yes, we were. Unfortunately, we couldn't field the team because they're all Lotharios, aren't they? They're all dating. Yeah, they're all dating and loved up. And because they knew they had a 3-week gap, they decided to put love above football. Rubbish attitude, that is. I know, yeah. It's pathetic, isn't it? But in this day and age, it's ridiculous. It's the norm. It's the dumb thing. It's the dumb thing. Anyway, listen, we've come to that final part of the show where we discover what, or maybe, what would we say? What have we learned? It's usually the title. We need to change that question. All right. Don't we? All right. Okay. What have we endured this week? What have we endured? So it's not necessarily what we've learned. It's just what have you had to deal with. Well, yeah. I'll tell you what. This is going to be a new opening question. For our future guests. Okay. And it's going to be what we would call I'll tell you the exact title of
the question, if you bear with me for once.
It's fine. I'm sure our viewers have got nothing else going on at this point in time.
Right. So, okay, my question is, this question could really steer an interview in a whole different direction depending on your answer. So, looking at football as both a gift and a challenge, what is it given to you? And equally, what is it taken away from you? So, my question now, just to see how this pans out a little bit, is what's football given to you, but equally, what is it taken from you?
Good grief. Sounds like something that should have been asked in a philosophy lecture. What's football given me?
Well, yeah, if you were a Premier League footballer now and you were on £250,000 a week, for instance, you'd turn around and say, well, it's given me a great lifestyle, but equally what it's taken away from me is privacy. Time with my family, privacy, all of those issues that go
normality.
With normality.
Yeah.
Not that we're in that particular group of
no, we are not
people, although normality for us,
well, we are recognised.
We do a podcast, don't we? We are recognised more for our voice than our faces, which is probably fortunate
for
in some circumstances. So
okay. So
what's football given to you?
What football has given me an enduring hobby, if you like. Yeah. So I played it at youth level. I played it at university. I wish to God that I'd played it in my 20s, but I just didn't carry on with it, and that really saddens me. Because maybe I would have been playing for Schem if I'd just kept up with playing football. And it's given me, now that I'm on the sidelines and helping to be a custodian of Skelmersdale United Football Club. It's given me a sense of, community and embedded me within a group of people who just want a football club to succeed within their own powers. They're not watching on from the touchline. They're actively getting involved in how a football club prospers and succeeds. And that in itself is a quite remarkable feeling. What it's taken away from me, though, is being able to enjoy a result. And I think, again, because Skelm is probably enduring its most difficult time in the last half century or so, and we are part of the custodianship that's overseeing that, we find ourselves coming away from the games, and certainly more often than not in the last 18 months, I've come away from games feeling, disappointed or disheartened or, just generally gutted for the club as a whole. So being able to experience a good, consistent enjoyment and embrace of glory, if you like, that other teams seem to have. You?
Well, I thought about this when I created the question for future guests. Because you obviously ask yourself the same question. Friendship. Friendships that I never thought I would have. And if I go back to my first stint as chairman of the football club, I didn't come away with many friends. Probably came away with more enemies because I think I put too much emphasis on success, immediate success, rather than sustainability. That really has been the biggest learning curve for me since coming back to Schem. We've met a lot of people through the show, so the podcast, I don't think I'd have ever been doing a football podcast, which arguably people could turn around and say I've got little or no knowledge of, but I feel as though it's something I can talk about more freely than most other subjects, so I enjoy that, enjoy meeting the people, and I think so the podcast has been a big part in bringing a lot to my table. Meeting you, of course, having friendships with people within the football club, and simple things like getting a phone call from Craig today, just asking how I was because I've been through a difficult period. I don't remember that happening first time round, and when I say the first time round, I ended up in hospital seriously ill. I had a 60% chance of dying during my first stint at Skem, and spent a long time in hospital, and I had people from the club visiting me, but I think they were just checking to see whether I was still alive. So this time round, I feel as though there's a genuine love within the football club that I didn't either see or notice first time round, and I think with maturity it gives you a better level of understanding. So I think friendships, definitely. The podcast, yes, most definitely. I keep saying it, one of my biggest friends in football is Tommy Lawson. You know, I speak to him on a week-to-week basis. We still go out for a coffee. He's always there at the end of the line to listen to me when I'm ranting on and talking rubbish, like I do for the best part of this show.
We both do.
I've met a lot of people that have made a difference in my life. What has it taken away from me? Well, yeah, listen, we all want to win. But I think my trust, my trust in the mechanics of running a football club, and the people that surround football, and the critics and the keyboard warriors, and the fact that during my first stint there were forums. Now it's social media. So the forums, like, they weren't as prolific.
No.
Keyboard warriors weren't as prolific.
Yeah.
Now they're there and they're consistent. And listen, who am I to argue, really? Because as custodians of a podcast, a football podcast, we are critical. We have to be critical.
Otherwise we have nothing to talk about.
We have nothing to talk about. But it's the snides in the game. Yeah. It's the people that say one thing to your face and then they're stabbing you in the back. I don't quite understand that. And the one thing that I'd like to say that I've been consistent with throughout the years being involved with football is that I'll give people the support that they deserve, and I don't shy away from the fact that you have to support people within football rather than stab them in the back. And I like to see both sides of the argument, and that's sometimes why I more err on the sort of side of caution, if you like, with people. When people say disliking someone, I try to... we talked about Paul Barthorpe before as an instance. Rightly or wrongly, I feel sorry for him. I think you pretty much felt a similar way. We were talking about N.I. Aluka, whatever pronunciation it is. N.I. Aluka. And me feeling sorry for her. There's another side to it. Has she dug a deeper hole for herself? Yes, I think we all do. I think I've done it throughout my time within football. I've dug holes for myself. So yeah, it's given me great friendships, given me this podcast an outlet, a passion, but yeah, it's taken away a lot of family time, a lot of holidays, a lot of absorbing other hobbies and doing other things in life that you'd want to do, and a distrust in a lot of people as well, and a worry about the way the system is working now. We talked about it a few times now, but specifically I'm talking about the dilution of non-league football. That is my biggest worry, and it hurts me watching it, because there's some genuine clubs there that have stayed in business for a long time on hard work, sweat and tears, and they're getting replaced by clubs that are not going to stay. The journey, Wolverhampton sporting community approved that. There might be other casualties, there will be, there's no doubt about it, but yeah. And that in itself, when I say that as an opening question to any future guest, can mould the rest of the interview. It can tell you which direction that interview is going in. So, yeah, I don't think we'll repeat this one now because we've exhausted it. But that sort of helps with what I've learned this week because I've evaluated certain things as well. But when I talked about my health, I've said to me, I'm going to make... I'm going to make little improvements. I'm going to do things to help myself. But the one thing that I'm not going to pull away from is the football club. I'm not going to pull away from the football club at any stage unless the worst thing happens and I end up in a wheelchair and I can't move. But right now, I'm sticking to the football club because I think the balance is it's given more than it's taken away.
Look at that.
So listen, with that in mind, I'll leave the final words to the dulcet tones of AJ the Jet.
You've been listening to the Speaking Frankly Football Show with me, AJ the Jet, and my co-host, Mr. Frank Hughes. This podcast is available on most streaming services, including Amazon Music and Spotify. Please rate and review, as we do enjoy hearing your feedback. Please also subscribe to the podcast so you can find out firsthand when a latest episode of the show has been released. We are also available on social media sites, including X and Facebook, under the banner term Speaking Frankly Football Show. And so from myself and Frank, thank you ever so much for listening to the show, and we'll see you next week for another episode. Until then, bye-bye for now.